Hey folks, welcome. I'm just going to do a live stream here for a little while, kind of do some live coverage of the Second Amendment rally in Washington, D.C. going on today. Actually, it should just be getting started right now. I'm kind of waiting on some folks, hoping to pipe in some live streams so we can kind of watch together what's going on there at the rally. So, super excited for all of this. I think this is a really big event. We've got a ton of great speakers. There are speakers from all over the country, from a variety of organizations and backgrounds. Now, we'll be self producing the show here today, which is the norm actually for everything that I do here, particularly like with the Concealed Carry podcast. So bear with me at times as I am organizing and keeping track of a lot that's going on here behind the scenes to get this live stream up and have it working. But just to highlight some of the speakers today, we'll be expecting to hear from Iraq veteran 8888, uh, Craig DeLuz from Firearms Policy Coalition, Diana Muller from the DC Project, Jonathan Patton from the Gun Collective, Mike Sodini from Walk the Talk America. We got Chris Chang lined up, winner of Top Shot Season 4. Joshua Prince, he's an attorney and does amazing work for gun rights and for gun owners. Eric Pratt from Gun Owners of America. Kevin Dixie from, well, everyone should know KD, right? Knock Training, NOC. Probably mention some more here in just a minute, but that gives you a little bit of a preview to some of the speakers we'll be hearing from today. And again, I'm hoping that we'll get some live feeds up so we can actually watch and hear those speakers speaking, and be doing some live commentary as this goes on through the day. So. I will stay live as long as I can. I've got some things going on today personally, but yeah, anyway, so thanks for tuning in and watching and being a part of this, recognizing Howard and Corey, David, Matt, Bobby, Walt, Tony, Tim, and you guys all watching, obviously from various locations yourselves. We've got folks tuning in from YouTube and Facebook. So awesome stuff, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in. Again, I'll try to keep this going for as long as I can. All right, until I have to wrap it up and get after my family duties that were previously scheduled here for today. Um, so obviously, since you're watching me here, I'm in my home studio, well, office really, and so I could not attend the rally. Very disappointed about that. But as far as I wanted to be there, but I had some family personal conflicts today that I couldn't get out of. And then that's the way it goes. So that's I thought I would do my part by trying to do some coverage here remotely. I've got Mitch Gert from our social media team. He's our social media manager. He is on the ground at the event. So we'll be getting some reports from Mitch. And also got Joshua Gilliam. He's our managing editor, oversees all of the editorial content that goes up on concealedcarry.com's website. So perhaps we'll be getting some reports from Josh as well. Yeah, at least we could have some folks on the ground representing us here at concealedcarry.com. Jacob's not able to attend either. But yeah, so we got Mitch, we got Josh there. So that's great. Today's rally, by the way, it should be already kicking off. I haven't actually gotten an official notice yet, but I assume that it's kicked off and people are just busy with that. But it should run until 4 p.m. today. Now, folks, if you are still thinking you're going to get down to the rally, if you're anywhere in the Washington, D.C. area, it is on the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol building. And it's going to be a really great time. It's going to be busy too, especially starting around 2 p.m. There is a parade for the now world champion Washington Nationals baseball team. They are kicking off their parade, and they'll be marching down, I believe, towards the Capitol building or somewhere in that area. So it probably will get, and people will probably already be gathering for that as well. So it'll be quite a busy place there today in that area. I imagine there'll be thousands and thousands of people for the parade, and hopefully there'll be thousands of people gathering for the Second Amendment rally as well. Let's go again to the comments here. Uh, Everest, thanks for checking in, buddy. Make sure you get video of your piano-ing. That would be called playing the piano or piano playing. And the piano is actually just right. It's over there, just on the other side of my screen here, against the wall. So there you go. Let's see. Tim says needs to be publicized more. Well, I don't disagree. And we've made great efforts trying to get information about the rally out there. I'd love to see more mainstream media coverage, obviously. Don't know what kind of coverage we're going to get. I know that there are some news agencies or companies or channels or whatever sites that are notified about it, and hopefully there'll be some coverage about it. I don't know if it's going to hit anything real big or mainstream. I hope it will, because I think that'd be really great. It should. But again, Tim, we've those that are involved in supporting and kind of in the background of the event. There's not one particular organization that's backing the Second Amendment rally. And so and that's intentional. It's not sponsored by any one particular organization. So there's not one organization that's leading the charge. It's very much a grassroots movement, which I think has been phenomenal to see the number of people and the type of people that have come on board and become a part of this. There is kind of an organizing committee behind the scenes that's worked on a lot of things. I've had the pleasure of working on some things behind the scenes myself, and but by nature it being grassroots and not super organized, meaning not having one organization overseeing it and making everything happen. By nature of that, I think things probably some things probably fall through the cracks, or maybe some word or exposure doesn't get out like it probably otherwise would if there was a little bit stronger organization. But again, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a really awesome thing to see how this has come together very organically, very naturally, and very grassrootsy. This is awesome. We got Mike. He's tuning in. He says that he is en route. He says we are en route. So it sounds like Mike's got somebody or some people with him. That's awesome. They're going to be there in 20 minutes. That's fantastic. And David says that Mark O posted a picture from the rally this morning, and Mark is a follower, a fan of the podcast, and I've been following Mark as well as he has been making the trip. He's made quite a long trip, traveling from the Los Angeles area of California all the way to DC to be there. I think he's even got his daughter with him in tow, his young daughter, which is fantastic. So, and Corey wishes he could have gone, but the wallet told me no. And that's totally understandable, Corey. I know that for many people, this would be quite a trip. I think there were some opportunities to be able to do it fairly inexpensively if you were creative or whatnot. So, like our social media manager, Mitch, we were able to get him out there on a fairly inexpensive flight there and back. Now it's easy, coming from the Denver area. There's actually some fairly affordable, very reasonably priced round trip flights direct from Denver to DC and back. And actually, I think Mitch might have flown into Baltimore and then hitched the train from Baltimore down to central DC. So, the couple of ways you can work that. But anyway, Ben Gillis. Grassroots E, that's like piano-ing. Yeah, you're funny, dude. Good stuff. Again, if you're just tuning in, you are watching live coverage of the Second Amendment rally, which again should have kicked off at 12:30 Eastern Time. It is 10:47 a.m. Mountain Time here, where I'm located in the Denver, Colorado area. And I am your host, Riley Bowman, host of the Concealed Carry podcast, doing this live coverage and commentary here today. So what we're gonna do real quick, guys, I'm gonna take a short break, and just so I can check into a couple of things, and I'll be right back. Just give me a minute or two, and we'll be right back. All right, I told you we'd be right back. I know we lost probably a couple of you, but I told you I wouldn't be very long. We'll take a few breaks here and there throughout the event here. So just be prepared for that. I'll try to make sure I keep those breaks short. Some of that will be just so that behind the scenes I can, try to work on coordinating some things, and occasionally maybe take a break. Like just now I had to run to the bathroom. So, bathroom breaks, they happen, right? So, anyway, welcome again back to coverage from, well, Denver, Colorado, doing remote coverage of the Second Amendment rally in Washington, D.C. I'm working on getting some reports in, and hopefully even piping in some live video from the event. That's the intent. I got Mitch on the ground that I'm hoping the technology works for us. We'll be able to pipe in occasionally some live feeds from there, and I'll be watching some other channels, some other folks and pages and things, and as I see live content, we'll try to share that and put that up on the screen here, so and just kind of see what's going on. So again, hopefully that all works. This is a kind of a new thing. Actually, still learning a new software for running this live broadcast like this. So bear with us, as it is somewhat of a learning experience. But I do appreciate you all for being here and tuning in. You guys are awesome. Yep, 12:47 p.m. in Washington D.C. Bobby, that is correct. That is 12:47 p.m. Eastern Time, and so the event was expected to kick off at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm 2 hours behind here in Denver, Colorado. So. And I do appreciate you, Jerry, for checking in. And hey, no problem. Happy to do what we can to make sure we get some good coverage and exposure of this event. So again, I'm checking some things here, watching some other pages and folks and feeds, and as we are able to pipe in some live coverage from the scene there, from the actual event, we will try to do that. All right, so. Just checking a couple things here on Facebook. Now, I mentioned at the beginning some of the speakers announced for the event today. So here's some other speakers. We have Ken Blanchard, Black Man with a Gun, Gabby Franco. Most people probably know who Gabby is. She's amazing. She's of course a very good competitive shooter, former Olympian, and also a competitor on Top Shot. Cheryl Todd from Gun Freedom Radio will be speaking as well. Matt LaRosiere, Firearms Policy Coalition, Maj Touré from Black Guns Matter, Rob Pincus from the Second Amendment Organization, Jeff Knox from the Firearms Coalition, and Anthony Calandra, Gun for Hire. So there's another little snippet or preview of some of the upcoming speakers. Hello, Diane and Luis, joining us and viewing the live stream here today. So appreciate you guys for being a part of this as well. So I'm not seeing anything yet here as far as live video on at the event. Working on getting some things up, so stay tuned. Hey, Casey, thanks for joining. Always good to have you, Casey. So now, again, I was not able to attend the event due to some personal commitments that conflicted with it, and I understand why they picked today. Number one, this is a very organically come together sort of event, and they didn't want to wait too long to do it. Also, it's the 2nd of November, so I'm sure that played into it as well with the whole Second Amendment theme. Of course, this is the Second Amendment rally, and what I appreciate about this rally is that this was meant to bring together all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life, backgrounds, organizations, even different viewpoints. Okay, so there's something for everyone, and that's really what interested me about the Second Amendment rally and why we at concealedcarry.com decided to throw some of our weight behind this, because I appreciated the inclusivity of this event. All right, that there's not really anyone that's been turned away, that there's people here at the event, including some of the speakers, that don't see eye to eye on issues. Some of those might be issues outside of the Second Amendment, but even within the Second Amendment, some of these individuals may not completely agree on certain aspects of what that Second Amendment means. And that's completely 100% okay, because the way I see it, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, is that the Second Amendment is the ultimate big party tent. And it's not a party, right? But folks are probably familiar with that phraseology, and that's how I think of it. That not Democrat, not Republican, not Green Party or Libertarian or anything like that. That the Second Amendment honestly can be and should be a home for every American, because the Second Amendment is for everyone. And yeah, maybe you aren't as extreme as somebody else as far as just how far those freedoms go or should go. But that's okay, because I think that overall, we as an overarching Second Amendment community can really come together on the Second Amendment, that we can really rally together. And that's what this rally is about, to say, hey, we don't like what we're seeing from some of our politicians. We don't like what we're seeing with some of these laws that are being passed, both well, we haven't really seen any new laws passed in recent times on the federal level. Certainly there's been some regulation changes, such as like with bump stocks that occurred last year or earlier this year, stuff like that. So, we're not happy with that, because any attack on the Second Amendment, honestly, even if you're not as far to, I hate to say the right, or, as far, I'm a very true liberally believing Second Amendment supporter, right? And by that, I mean, I believe the Second Amendment liberally applies very broadly. That's to the true definition of the word liberal. I'm a Second Amendment. I'll say it. I'm a Second Amendment liberal. Because I think that there should be very few restrictions on the Second Amendment. And I think the Second Amendment ought to be read very liberally as far as what it means. And so Anyway, my point being there that even if you're not quite as liberal on the Second Amendment as I am, if you believe in it at all, then hopefully you recognize that any attack on the Second Amendment, I mean, even if you're just the shotgun carrying, hunting, uh, casual gun, gun supporting owner, recognize that any attack, honestly, on the Second Amendment is probably eventually it will turn into an attack on you, and we see that because of there's plenty of examples in history, including modern day history, of that becoming the case. So anyway, I'm pleased that with this rally and everything it's aiming to achieve in bringing together gun owners from all walks of life, backgrounds, and organizations into one place to rally around the Second Amendment. And that's what's going on today. Now we're approaching the 1 o'clock Eastern hour. And so I'm working on getting in touch here with Mitch. Uh, so actually, we're going to take a short break while I try to get some things up with a live feed from the ground there in Washington, D.C., on the western lawn of the U.S. Capitol building. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I promise to keep these breaks brief. I'm self-producing everything here, so it's a lot to keep track of. And so I appreciate your patience. But all right, I'll be right back here in just a few minutes. Thanks so much. All right, and we're back. I apologize again for the break, but I tried to keep it brief. Now, I'm working on connecting with Mitch, our social media manager, who's on the ground there at the Second Amendment Rally event. Working on connecting with him and being able to pipe in, hopefully, a video stream from there. So, yeah, actually, so all right, finally, I'm in touch with Mitch, and his phone, he says, might run out of battery pretty quick, but he says that speakers are coming up in rapid fire fashion. So we're going to work on getting him piped in here. All right. So, and actually, first, let's do this. We've got live video. It looks like from Mark Okniansky, who is a fan of the podcast. I'm going to see if we can pipe this in. Let's see if I can get this to work. All right. Let's see here. Give me a second while I'm get this kind of up and going. Oh, and we have a live video from Mitch as well on the ground. I'm going to have him stand by just a moment. Let's see here. I'm going to share my screen, and let's see here. Okay. Sorry, guys. Appreciate your patience while I try to. This is the first time I've really done this. So, okay, here we go. And let's try it. I start every speech with those words. Okay. This is straight from Mark's Facebook. And looks like it's got the live stream got hung up on us a little bit. So yeah, it's frozen. All right, maybe that's not going to work for us. All right, so let's see if we can get over to Mitch's feed now. All right. Okay, let's go to Mitch here. We're going to bring him into the stream. Here we go. There's Mitch. And he's right there at the center of the event.
We're
looks
not
like.
The gun lobby. You are.
Let's see who we have speaking.
I want every one of you. Let's do the little chant thing. I am the gun lobby. I am the gun lobby. And the next thing is we are the gun lobby. Aren't we? We are the gun lobby. We are the gun lobby. We are the gun lobby. Gun lobby, let me tell you something. We got some work to do. Beto O'Rourke has jumped out of the Democrat. But he's not the only one that thinks that way. So I've got a message for anyone who is thinking the way that Beto was thinking. And that message is, no, you will not. We're 100 million. I read somewhere recently that the hunting licenses in Wisconsin outnumber the largest army in the world. One state. I don't think the quote was true, but there's a gun behind every blade of grass. Well, you bet your bottom dollar there would be. Folks, when we decided to put this thing together, I can't tell you how many people told me it couldn't happen, it wouldn't happen. Gun owners won't show up. Rob Pincus and I, we sit here, hold my beer. And we did it, we brought it together, we've got you here, and we are so proud of you for being here. We've got members of the Socialist Gun Club to members of the Trump Forever to everybody in between. We are America. We are the gun lobby. We, the people, and we will not stand for tyranny. I'm Jeff Knox of the Firearms Coalition. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we were just watching Jeff Knox from the Firearms Policy Coalition there. We'll go ahead and mute their audio now for for the time being. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, good words there from Jeff Knox. Jeff Knox is a good dude. He works really hard for the Second Amendment. Actually, I'll pipe in that video just a little bit more there, just so we can kind of see. Oh, Mitch is we're watching Mitch's fingers. That's always fun. Oh, hey, here's Mitch. Let's go to Mitch.
Hey guys,
Mitch.
how's it going?
Good. How's it going there?
It's wild here. It's just nonstop. We got speakers coming up in rapid fire fashion. Cheryl Todd just took the stage, so I don't know. I mean, we can keep piping it in, and I'll just kind of keep covering as much as I can, and keep you guys all updated.
That's awesome, man. Hey, appreciate you doing this and being there for us. Hopefully you got a battery pack for your phone, dude.
Yeah, it's charging right now back at the hotel where I left it.
Oh no.
So that's yeah. I'll do my best to keep battery going so I can keep giving you guys updates here.
Yeah. So we just heard Jeff Knox. Is Cheryl about to go then?
Yeah, Cheryl is just getting started right now.
Okay. Do you think you could stick around for Cheryl so we can listen to what she has to say?
Yeah, I'll get back in there and we'll get you a listen right now.
Okay.
Right.
This is pretty exciting. We've never done anything quite like this, and it's fun to be able to pipe Mitch in like this and do live coverage. So good work, buddy.
All right, here she comes.
All right, let's go to Cheryl Todd now. Cheryl Todd from Gun Freedom Radio. Take a listen to this.
This phrase tells you exactly where to look for solutions, and that is at the person we see every time we pass a mirror. That is you, and that is me. Right? Too often we point our fingers at the people who work in the building behind me, and at the media, and a whole litany of thems and theys, right? Who are eroding our rights and infringing on our liberties. And there is definitely effort being put in by those who hate freedom and who love to live with the boot of tyranny on their own necks and ours. Hell no. But my fellow Americans, everything always comes down to personal responsibility, right? And that is you. Our founding fathers and mothers certainly embodied these principles of creating and allowing. They fought, bled, starved, and died as they created this nation, which allowed their children and ours to thrive, wrapped in the precious and unique American constitutional protections. They created the impossible. They were outgunned, outmanned, outfinanced, and were a band of people just like me and my husband, shopkeepers, moms, dads, ordinary warriors. And like you, people who finally said, enough. We will no longer allow unjust laws to slowly smother us. They said, enough. You will not take away our tools of self-defense that protect us from predators. Four-legged. And two. Right? They looked little King George Beto O'Rourke III, or whatever his name was, looked him right in his wild, manic, power-hungry eyes and said, enough. We will. Our founders, the famous and those forgotten by history, handed over the keys to this shiny new nation, wrote us an owner's manual, and prayed that we would value their hard work and sacrifice and try not to wreck this beautiful new experiment in freedom and liberty. They created, and then we slowly and incrementally allowed those who hate liberty to chip the paint, bald the tire, and stain the upholstery with a splash of tyranny here and a dribble of infringements there. And worse still, we have allowed them to careen impulsively down the highway of emotional decision-making, ignoring every one of the warning signs and threatening to crash this perfect union headlong into the craggy cliffs of red flag gun laws and universal background checks. Our founders had one rule: eternal vigilance. But we outsourced our responsibilities to people we call our representatives and then failed to hold them accountable to how we wanted to be represented. Well, no more. Let yesterday be the last day we allow these representatives to feign ignorance of the will of the people. Let tomorrow be the first day that we begin to teach our children and our children's children the lessons of world history. And let today be the day that patriots from sea to shining sea become involved in the political process, local, state, and federal, to make the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Second Amendment the focal point of our work. And when we do this, my brothers and sisters in freedom, united and together, we, the people, will create a future that honors the sacrifices made by so many, that will once again allow our common bond to be liberty. Thank you.
All right, watching live, Cheryl Todd from Gun Freedom Radio there talking. That was awesome. Good stuff. Mitch, we'll let Mitch go now for a little bit to save battery life on his phone. And man, that was fantastic. Got to remove the banner there from the screen. Thanks. Sorry, guys. Got a lot going on behind the scenes here, and I'm trying to get more folks piped in as well. In fact, it looks like we might have Chris Chang possibly joining us here in a moment. Let's see here. I'm working on getting him on. Let's take just a short break. I'll be right back. Thanks so much, guys, for your patience and for watching our live coverage of the Second Amendment rally today from the West Lawn of U.S. Capitol. I am Riley Bowman, host of Concealed Carry Podcast, broadcasting remotely from Denver, Colorado. So we'll just take a short break, and I'll be right back, and hopefully get somebody else on that can join our stream in a moment. All righty, we're back from a short break there. Thanks for staying on with us. I apologize for the breaks. Again, I'm self-producing and self-directing everything here behind the scenes. There's a lot of moving pieces, but so far everything seems to be working pretty well, which is really awesome. Again, doing live coverage here from the Second Amendment rally. Granted, I'm broadcasting remote from Denver, Colorado. I was unable to attend, and made me really sad, but I'm glad we're able to do something like this. Technology is a wonderful tool to be able to bring this all together. Just a moment ago, we were able to catch the end of Jeff Knox speaking to the crowd, and just had Cheryl Todd, her presentation as well, just a few minutes ago. That was also very well done. I've got on the ground there in D.C. at the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol my social media manager, Mitch. We're going to pipe him in from time to time, and I'm working on getting a few other guests as well that may be able to pop in from time to time, and we'll interview those folks as they come in. So anyway, I thought what Cheryl had to say was right on point, and of course, same with Jeff Knox. Granted, we didn't hear quite as much of his, but Sword asks, sort of the spirit KJV, why are no other channels live streaming this? I thought it was going to be big. You know, I think there are quite a number of little live streams going on here and there, but I think a lot of people are doing those on their own individual personal pages or whatnot. I know I've been getting some reports. There's a lot of different live streams going on here and there. You know, and I think part of it too, Sword, I'm going to just refer to you as Sword, that this was a grassroots, you know, very organically put together event with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and organizations working together to make this happen in a pure grassroots effort. And by nature of that, there's probably not, you know, as refined an organization as maybe what we would see if it was one of, you know, the gun rights organizations or something that was really behind this, really driving this and paying for it, and paying for like a professional production crew or something to put something like a official live stream together. Fortunately, that's what I'm trying to do here. Looks like Mitch is popping back in. So let's go to Mitch again and see what we got going on next.
One where else in the world can a random guy like me, who's a self-taught amateur, go and win $100,000 shooting guns and to buy more guns? Which is exactly what happened. But where else in the world can an average citizen like me go onto this TV show and win a boatload of cash? I quit my job at Google to be a professional shooter for 3.5 years. I gave up working for one of the most successful companies in the world because I wanted to see what it was like to be one of us. To be proud American gun owners. And I am just incredibly thankful for our country and the opportunity that the Second Amendment has provided me and provides all of us. I want to touch upon another deeply personal part of my background, which is I'm a member of the LGBT community. And if you don't know what that is, I'm gay. So just going to put it out there. What's been so electrifying for me to be a gay guy in the gun community is that nobody here cares that I'm gay. In the gay rights movement, we talk about equality all the time. And for me, what does equality mean? It means that I am treated exactly the same as everybody else, that I am not special, and that the firearms community has treated me like an equal, and that I'm not special because I'm gay. It is really irrelevant, and that has been such an amazing experience. And one thing that I want to share with everybody about the LGBT community is our involvement in pride parades and rallies like this. And it is us being present and being out as gay people, and here we are being out as gun owners. And the parallel for me is that nobody walking down the street looking at me will know that I'm either gay or a gun owner. And so that's why we are here today as proud gun owners, and be visible, and we have to be loud, and we have to be proud. The last thing I want to discuss is how our government is trying to suppress our voices. It is frightening, and it is none more frightening than my hometown of San Francisco, California. A few months ago, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors passed a resolution declaring the NRA a domestic terrorist organization. In an incredibly reckless and irresponsible decision by my local city government. And with that resolution, right, when you apply the label terrorist to any group, and I took that very personally, that my local government is trying to call me a terrorist. We've got a terrorist out in the crowd. All right, the government is trying to label us as terrorists. They're trying to silence us. They're trying to shut down debate, shut down discussion, because they don't like guns, they don't like our freedom. And it is incredibly important and impactful that we are here today to tell the government that we are 2A. I want you to join me. We are 2A. We are 2A. We are 2A. We are 2A. Our voices will be heard, and they are being heard today. Thank you so much for your support in our country and our Second Amendment.
I really wanted to try to get through this without having to tell everybody what.
I apologize. Had the mic muted there. I apologize. That was awesome from Chris Chang, winner of Top Shot Season 4 on the History Channel. Love Chris to death. You know, he spent a good deal of time there talking about, you know, him as a member of the LGBTQ community, a gay man, and a pro 2A supporter, obviously. Chris is he's a wonderful guy. I love Chris to death. That was fantastic, because here's the thing, and I was talking about this earlier, the Second Amendment is for everyone, right? And this event is about bringing together all backgrounds, all walks of life, all people that are pro 2A into one event. That this is focused on the Second Amendment. It's not focused on one particular organization or one particular party or whatever. This is for everybody, and I hope that you get that from this live stream here today. Working on getting some more live coverage from the actual event there. I'm hoping to get a couple of folks joining us. Maybe we can get Rob Pincus on or something. I know he's there, and he's kind of paying attention a little bit. Yeah. So, yeah, I think we're going to take a short break, because I'm going to work on a couple things behind the scenes to see if we can keep this ball rolling. Again, I'll keep the live stream going as long as I can. Hope, you know, it'd be a miracle if we could keep it going throughout the entire event. If I could do that, I will. If I have enough content and folks on the ground able to bring us stuff from the event, then we will make it happen. All right. We've been going now for almost 50 minutes. The event's been live for just about an hour. I imagine we'll have some more great speakers. In fact, let me give you a quick rundown of some more speakers. I mentioned some earlier. Some other speakers. We've got Amy Dillon from Legacy Defense, Carrie Sloan from We the Female, Cam Edwards from Bearing Arms, formerly of NRA TV, Tim Harmson from Military Arms Channel, Todd Fossey, Integrative Defense Strategies, Edgar Antillon, Guns for Everyone, Alexander Rubian, New Jersey 2A Society, Timothy Knight is a 2A grassroots activist, and Anthony Garcia from Save the Second. Tons of more, great speakers coming up here throughout the remainder of the event. We've heard so far from several. We just had Chris Chang on there a moment ago. We had Cheryl Todd earlier. We had Jeff Knox as well from Firearms Policy Coalition. And more great coverage coming from the Second Amendment rally on the West Lawn, the U.S. Capitol today. The event runs through 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are anywhere in that area, I think you should go. You should try to get yourself down there, preferably before 2 p.m. Eastern, which is coming up on us fast. That's when the parade starts for the Washington Nationals that just won the World Series. Things will probably get a little bit crazier after that. But we've got a great event going there. As you can see, there's a pretty good crowd gathered there around the speakers, around the podium. And so we'll continue to bring more live coverage to you from the Second Amendment rally. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Be right back. And we are back. Hey, thanks for watching this live coverage from the 2A rally there in the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol. I'm your host, Riley Bowman. Oops, sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. Riley Bowman, host of the Concealed Carry podcast. And it looks like we got Chris Chang on. I'm going to bring him on here. He's right there. So let's get him in here. All right, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Oh, man, I'm so glad this is working. Hey, we just heard your speech there. That was fantastic.
Hey, thank you so much. It's man, the crowd here today. It's electrifying. It is unlike anything that I've seen in our Second Amendment community, and I'm just so excited and honored to be a part of this with about a thousand of our fellow patriots.
Yeah. Now, can you kind of rehash for us there? I heard you talking about your life, and your life experiences as a gun owner, as a Second Amendment proponent, but also as an openly gay man. What does that mean to you?
Sorry, the noise is so loud here. I missed the key. Hold on. I just want to show you what's going on here. This is just great.
That's awesome.
I'm in the Washington Monument, behind us in one direction, and then we're in the Capitol building on the other side. It's just amazing. So sorry, your question, something about me being gay. I didn't hear the context.
That's all right. So I guess I was just asking you what it means to you being an openly gay man, but in the 2A community.
Yeah, it's the Second Amendment community has been so warm and welcoming, right, with respect to me being gay, and nobody cares, right? It's not an issue, and when it comes to equality, I just want to be treated equally, right? I don't want to be special. I just want to be treated like a human being, right? That's it. I want to, just emphasize to everybody that it's important for us to be ourselves, right? What true freedom is for me, right, is that we can all live the lives that we want to live, right, as long as you're not hurting yourself or others. And for me being gay in the Second Amendment community, it's been a wonderful experience. And there's
That's awesome.
Other members of the LGBT community that are also warmly welcomed in the gun community.
That's awesome, Chris. Hey, man, again, I appreciated the words you had to say, and also just talking about how cities like San Francisco have been demonizing gun owners and trying to make us out to be the bad guys. So I appreciated the words you had to say about that as well. Hey, do you know who we have on the stage speaking right now?
I do not know who that is at the moment, but
okay.
She's passionate. I love it.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you for popping in here and doing this with us. I would love to have you, again. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sticking with us for a minute and let's hear who's speaking there on the stage and see what they have to say.
Yep, sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks so much, buddy.
It was during the 1940s that the Philippines entered into World War II when the Japanese Imperial Army attacked them and tried to seize them. My grandfather, Federico Carpio, fought against this by fighting with the United
Are you able to flip your camera around?
Oh, you want me to?
He was reported missing in action in 1940.
This is live streaming right here.
Yeah, there we go.
The Japanese Imperial Army during World War II in the Philippines. My dad, who was only 7 years old at the time, fled with the rest of the family to the mountains to escape and hide for several months while a tyrannical government destroyed their home. Hearing the story while I was growing up enforced the love of freedom for this country that I have today. And it's because of this that I am a patriot. This is not just a story I read in a book or watched in a movie. This is my legacy.
I think that's Amy Dillon.
To defend. I was only one generation away from the effects of a tyrannical government destroying a country and my existence. And I don't want to ever worry about that happening here. It's why we live in the greatest country in the world, and it's why the Second Amendment is the most important right. So when we have an opportunity to talk about the Second Amendment and why it's important, I hope you will remember my story, all of our stories. And will you join us to defend our rights so that we, the people, we, a self-governed people, will continue to be a free nation, because that is our legacy.
All right.
That's awesome. And now you're upside down in our feed. That's pretty funny.
I'm upside down. Weird.
Well, we'll probably let you go, Chris. Thanks so much for popping in for the live stream here, and thanks for everything you do for the 2A community.
Very good. Thanks. See ya.
Thank you, sir. All right, so there we had Chris Chang for a quick little one-on-one interview behind the scenes. And also, I believe that was Amy Dillon that was speaking there on the stage. So we got to hear a little bit of what she had to say. And knowing a little bit about her background, her family immigrated to the United States. And, she's not the only one. I was actually thinking that, like, Gabby Franco, hopefully we'll be able to hear from Gabby a little bit later, too, who has a similar experience talking about what life was like for her not living in America as a child and recognizing the freedoms that we really truly do enjoy here in this country. Even with the restrictions we already do have on the Second Amendment here, we are still remarkably free in this regard. Can we be more free? Absolutely. And this is part of what this rally is all about, is continuing to advance the cause of freedom, particularly where it relates to the Second Amendment. And so, wonderful words we were able to hear there. Just a brief little excerpt from Amy speaking there on the stage at the Second Amendment rally. And wonderful to have many of you guys joining and watching us on Facebook and YouTube today. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I am Riley Bowman, host of the Concealed Carry podcast, and I just wanted to do, even though I couldn't be at the event personally today, I would have been there had it been possible for me. But I'm honored to be able to be a part of this in some way, and hopefully kind of putting together and managing somewhat of a live stream that hopefully makes sense and is good for many of you watching from the comfort of your homes. Again, the event goes today till 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's 2 p.m. my time. I'm here based in Denver, Colorado. Working from my home office here today and doing this live stream. So we'll have more great coverage coming here soon. I'm hoping to get a few more folks from the ground there in Washington, D.C. We'll be able to pipe into our live feed, maybe do some one-on-one interviews, but also hear who's coming up and who's on the stage speaking as well. Looks like a pretty good crowd there gathered on the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol building. Keep in mind, this was put together just about a month ago or so and completely grassroots. Really an impressive showing, considering just how little organization there was to putting together something like this. Really thrilled to see that crowd gathering there. Again, we'll be taking periodic breaks here and there. Some of that's just for me to catch my breath and continue to work behind the scenes. This is completely self-produced. It's just a simple live stream, trying to do hopefully a somewhat decent professional job with it. So we'll take breaks from time to time. We're going to take another one here for just a few minutes. I promise to keep these brief. So make sure you stick around. We'll be right back with more great coverage of the Second Amendment rally from the U.S. Capitol. Thanks for watching. All right. We are back from a short break there. Thanks for sticking with us. This is live coverage from the Second Amendment rally at the U.S. Capitol there in Washington, D.C. We got a bunch of speakers that are speaking from the stage. Now, I am broadcasting remotely from Denver, Colorado. I am your host, Riley Bowman, also host of the Concealed Carry podcast that airs twice a week here on our YouTube channel at concealedcarry.com YouTube channel, and also on the Concealed Carry Facebook page. Again, live coverage of the Second Amendment rally. The way we're doing this, this is kind of a bit of an experiment, but so far seems to be working pretty well. We've got some folks on the ground there at the rally. There's a good crowd. And as folks are able to join this live stream, I'm piping them in here to the feed so you can see firsthand from their perspective what's going on, the crowd that's assembled, who's speaking, and maybe occasionally doing some one-on-one interviews behind the scenes as well with some of the guest speakers as well. So now, if you don't know anything about the Second Amendment rally, this is an event that was put together very, very quickly, in just a matter of a few weeks, really, pulling from folks from all walks of life, a bunch of different backgrounds and organizations. There's kind of a working committee that behind the scenes has worked to put this together. But there is not one particular organization that has been responsible for this event, and that is key, because that is not something that we've really seen a whole lot, especially on a scale of this magnitude. So it's been really remarkable to see the number of people that have come together for this event. And keep in mind that the focus of this event is on the Second Amendment and on advancing our cause of freedom with the Second Amendment. We have a bunch of you participating live, viewing on Facebook and on YouTube, and I appreciate you for being a part of this as well and sharing your comments and questions and things. In fact, we got a comment here from Richard. He says, I'm not a veteran, but there is common sense gun regulation. It is called the Second Amendment, and I do not disagree. Thank you for your comment there, Richard. Some of you watching, veterans, we got some of you checking in as well. We appreciate you guys. We've got many of you watching on Facebook, including some of our regular podcast listeners and viewers. We appreciate you guys for being here as well. Let's see here. I'm just working on getting, I've got Josh Gilliam, our managing editor, on the ground there. I don't know if he's having some technical difficulties or not, but we're hoping to get a little snippet, piped in for the live stream from him. I'm not exactly sure where he is at the rally. We got Mitch Gert, our social media manager, who's there as well, representing for the Concealed Carry and concealedcarry.com crew. And we've already piped him in a couple of times. But unfortunately, he left his battery pack at his hotel. And so he's got to be a little bit smart about how he manages his power, or he's going to run out on his phone here pretty quick. We just had an interview there with Chris Chang. I know sometimes the audio is difficult. These folks are just operating off of their mobile devices, and so audio may not be ideal. And there may be a lot of cheering or clapping or hooting or hollering as well. So be mindful of that. This is organic live stream at its finest. Again, I'm Riley Bowman, just wanting to be a part of this in some way and help push this out there and hopefully get some more coverage of the event. I have no idea if this is going to hit mainstream media or not. It would be great if it would, but unfortunately in Washington, D.C. today, most people are probably too focused on the fact that the Washington Nationals just won the World Series a couple of days ago, and there is a parade kicking off there in about 12 minutes. Tony's commenting that my audio may be out of sync. Folks watching live, if you can confirm for that, if that's across all platforms, Facebook and YouTube, maybe it's just Facebook, I don't know. But if I need to take a break and kind of restart things, we definitely can do that. Anyway, all righty. So we'll see here if we can get someone else joining our live stream. Let's see. So pardon me again, I'm self-producing all of this, and there's a lot to manage behind the scenes. David, I appreciate your offer. He says, "Fly me out, and I'll hook him up with a few charged batteries." I wish we could do that. And it looks like Josh is trying to connect to our live stream, but is not getting in here successfully. At least I'm not seeing him pop up in my dashboard here. Stand by. I think I'm going to take another short break. Oh, wait. No, here he is. He's here now. So let's go ahead and let's go to Josh.
This is one day to yell to the free country. We have First Amendment, and if those don't work, we gun owners have a Second Amendment right to protect them. I think with the right of the people. So yell with me so that the whole world and the media hears you. You ready? The right of the people to keep them in their homes. Shall not be revenge. Okay, all of human nature it can be is wrapped up into all these governments around here, we know that government has been written about for thousands of years. Government is force and coercion, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So my favorite is Blanchard. And about 1850, just a few years before our Civil War, he wrote a little book called simply The Law. And that book is so powerful it's still taught in good law school.
All right. So, the audio there is not super great. Josh is a little ways back from the stage, and that's completely A-okay. But it's cool to see a little bit of a different perspective here. We see a pretty good crowd. We've got some "Don't Tread on Me" flags. Again, keep in mind, this is organized just in the last few weeks, completely, purely grassroots, not one organization behind it pushing it along. So anyway, appreciate Josh for piping us in there, giving us another view from the ground live at the Second Amendment rally on the western lawn of the U.S. Capitol. Thank you so much, Josh. Appreciate you. Now I'm actually working also on getting, we've got Mark Okniansky, who's a big fan of the podcast and some of our live streams that we do. He's also a member of the Liberal Gun Owners Club, which is pretty interesting. But keep in mind, this is not one particular party that's being represented here. This is not necessarily liberals and conservatives. It does not matter who you are. This is Second Amendment supporters. I know that for some of you think, well, how can you be a Democrat and be pro 2A? Or how can you be liberal and be pro 2A? And I don't know if I know all the answers to those questions or not, me personally, but what I can tell you is if you are a gun owner and you believe in the Second Amendment, then you are my friend. And we belong together, and I believe that we can work together to advance freedom and gun rights in this country. All right. And so we'll see if Mark is able to join our live stream here. I'm keeping an eye on things and also working on getting a few others, including speakers, either before they go live on the stage or maybe even after. We'll work on streaming from those folks' phones as well. So apparently there is maybe a little bit of a out of sync issue between audio and video, and I apologize. I don't have a whole lot of control over how this streaming thing works, but we'll do the best we can. So let's see. I don't know who we had speaking there a moment ago. I couldn't hear the voice well enough and didn't recognize who was speaking. But where we can, we'll identify who those speakers are and put that up on the screen for you. Let me review some of the list. In fact, we've got still, I believe, now we could have missed some of these, but we are expecting to hear from speakers such as Eric Blanchard, who's also known as Iraq Veteran 8888, very, very popular YouTube channel. We've got Diana Moeller from the DC Project, who's speaking today as well. Jonathan Patton from the Gun Collective. Many people know John from the Gun Collective. I know that we've already had Mike Sodini from Walk the Talk America speak. Unfortunately, we didn't have a live stream from the ground there while he was speaking, but I know that he has gone so far. We've got Ken Blanchard from Black Man with a Gun, Maj Toure from Black Guns Matter. I know we've heard already from Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio. We should still be hearing from Gabby Franco, a professional competitive shooter, and also a Top Shot, History Channel's Top Shot competitor as well from a few years ago. And we got Anthony Calandra from Gun for Hire. He's also on the NRA Board of Directors. And so just a little bit of, again, a preview of some of those that are slated to speak today. Again, I am Riley Bowman, host of the Concealed Carry Podcast, also director of training at concealedcarry.com, and just doing what I can to promote this event and give you live behind the scenes, even access. Sometimes, like when we were watching Chris's video and also Mitch's, they're right there next to the stage where folks are speaking, and not out there in the crowd. We're able to hear some of those a little bit better, where they're closer to the speakers and whatnot. Again, I'm keeping an eye on things here and watching for others that may be joining the live stream momentarily. I think at this point we will take another short break as I work to get our next live stream guest up on the screen. So stay tuned. Hold on just a few minutes. We'll try to keep these breaks as brief as we can. Unfortunately, they are necessary as I am doing everything here completely by myself in my home office. So appreciate you guys. We'll take a short break. Be right back. All right. Thanks for sticking with us through that short break. We are back again here, still working on getting our next live guest slash commentator slash field correspondent onto the live stream here. And yeah, things are really rocking and moving along there at the 2A rally. Each speaker has about 5 minutes, which is not a lot of time because there's a bunch of them lined up. Just a moment ago, I was highlighting several of them, some more that we have coming up throughout the day. Rob Pincus, Carrie Sloan from We the Female, Cam Edwards from Bearing Arms. Folks probably know or at least recognize Cam. Tim Harmson from Military Arms Channel. Todd Fossey, Integrative Defense Strategies. We'll work on getting some of those folks. Hopefully, maybe they can pop in and be a part of our live stream as well. I did not coordinate a whole lot of this beforehand. In fact, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do this live stream until just a couple of hours ago. Here we are approaching going into this about an hour and a half. Many of you sticking around and being a part of this with us for all this time, and do appreciate you. Didn't even know if the technology was going to really work. So far, it seems like it's worked pretty well. So many of you watching on Facebook and on YouTube, you guys are fantastic. In fact, I think our YouTube viewers have eclipsed the Facebook viewers, at least as of right now. I apologize. I was having a sip there of folks that know me personally know that I enjoy root beer, and it's a nice little fizzy drink. So, favorite of mine. I am Riley Bowman, host of the Concealed Carry podcast, and doing this little live event here today, coverage of the 2A rally, the Second Amendment rally, that is an organic, grassroots-driven rally organized today from 12:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time at the U.S. Capitol building there in Washington, D.C. I would have loved to have been there in person, but unfortunately the stars did not align, and I did not draw the right cards to make that possible. So doing what we can here at the concealedcarry.com home base. This is actually not our company home base. This is my home base. And so just seeing if we got anybody else that is able to pop in for some live coverage. I'll see if I can get Mitch back. I know Mitch is worried about not having the battery on his phone last long enough. In fact, I'm going to shoot him a quick message and see if we can get him back. Let's see. Awesome. So again, considering that I didn't really do a whole lot of pre-planning or advance notice or coordination for this, some of that just due to not knowing if the technology was going to even work, and it seems like it's worked pretty well. I didn't want to make any promises in advance, and so some of you having some good conversation on the comments of Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate you guys. Now, a little bit about me and about concealedcarry.com. We are basically a 3-tiered business. If you've never been to concealedcarry.com, I would encourage you to check it out. We strive to, number one, provide good information and educational content, which you can find in editorial form right there on the website. A number of articles are published usually daily, many articles published every week for sure. We also generate video content, audio content, such as our Concealed Carry podcast that's been going now for over 3 years and over 360 episodes. Oh, and look here, we have Mark Okniansky, who is joining us live. We'll get him added to the stream. And also Mitch is popping in at the same time. So stand by a sec here. All righty, let's see if we can get Mark up here. This is Mark Okniansky. He is a podcast listener of ours, and Mark has traveled there from California to be a part of this event. Here we go. There's Mark. There's the U.S. Capitol. Mark, thanks for doing this for us. And let's see. Do we know who we have speaking?
banning of items and restricting of our rights is served.
I don't know if Mark can hear me.
All-American, law-abiding American. We've been divided into various factions. These factions have struggled over limited resources, and many of us have only acted when our own individual priorities were going to be effective. That time has ended. Let this Second Amendment rally, the coalition of people with different perspectives under the Second Amendment, be the end of that. We'll still have our disagreements in the details, but this rally has been purchased by the time and effort by individual gun owners of America, hunters, sport shooters, firearms collectors, police officers, self-defense advocates. And if your intention, whoever you are that's listening, is to take away our guns, come and take them all at once. United we stand. Yes, sir. The time for division is ending. If it's your goal, whoever you are, to take our guns away, face us as a group in the legislative halls and courtrooms of this country. Be open and honest about your intentions.
All right, so we don't hear the speaker very well, and it's a little unclear as to who is speaking, but we appreciate Mark for being a part of this and sharing his live stream with us, giving us his perspective there. As you can see, I mean, we got a pretty good crowd there. We've got a pretty good crowd there of pro-2A, gun-supporting, gun and freedom-loving Americans. This is really awesome. Thank you for giving us that live view, Mark. We'll go ahead and let Mark go for now. Maybe Mark will be able to join again with us a little bit later. I'd actually like to get Mark's take on the event and do a one-on-one with him. We'll get him back here in just a little bit. I'm going to work on getting Mitch back. And so we'll get him back in here as quickly as we can. Oh, Mark said that Rob Pincus was speaking there. Well, let's see if we can get Mitch back quickly enough. Maybe we can hear what Rob has to say. Rob has been instrumental in the organization of this event. Doesn't mean that this is Rob's event. It just means that Rob has been working very tirelessly behind the scenes to make this all come together. And we do appreciate him for all the effort and sacrifice. Honestly, it's been a lot of time, I'm sure, to do the things that he's been doing behind the scenes. And here we have Mitch.
In a spree killing in New York City.
And so we are listening to Rob Pincus now.
This was at the height of the assault weapons ban, right in the middle of the assault weapons ban, and tragedy struck his family. And that inspired him to take action. Those actions are not actions that we would agree with. He's going to talk to you a little bit about how his perspectives may have changed and how his sincerity in doing what we all want to do, protect people's right to keep and bear arms while also protecting lives, which is the vast majority that of us own guns for that reason. And he is the most recent past president of the Brady campaign. Past president for a reason, because of some disagreements. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Gross.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for that warm welcome. It really means a lot because this is one of the hardest things that I've ever done. But I think it's very, very important. Just in case you were wondering if you heard Rob Pincus right, my name is Dan Gross, and for 6 years I was president of the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence. And no, I didn't make a wrong turn at the Nats parade and wind up here by accident. And yes, it is one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I am here proudly, and I am here entirely by free will. I'm here because I believe fundamentally in the Second Amendment right to bear arms. Yeah! And I'm here, as Rob said, because I know that at the end of the day, all of you and I share a common goal. We want to keep our homes, our schools, our families, our loved ones safe. I'm also here for another reason. I'm here because I've seen how all of you, decent, responsible, law-abiding gun owners, are relentlessly and I believe unfairly demonized. I'm here because I've seen firsthand how an ideological hatred of guns and the people who own them is more important to some people than the actual goal of saving lives. And I'm here because I've seen firsthand how tragic those misplaced priorities are. As someone who, as Rob said, experienced a gun-related tragedy in my own family, and as someone who spent my life dedicated, whether you agree with the things I've said or not, my life dedicated to the pure goal of preventing what happened to me from happening to other people, there is nothing that pisses me off more than people who pretend they care about saving lives but really have other agendas. And at the end of the day, the reason why I'm swallowing hard and doing this here today is regardless of which side of the political issue you're on, if you're willing to have an honest conversation about what we can do to prevent the loss of innocent lives in a way that upholds the Second Amendment and respects people who own guns, you and I are going to get along. And if you're not willing to do all those things, you and I are going to have issues. And I can tell you, when I was leading Brady, I had a lot of issues with a lot of people who thought they were on my side. The reality is, when it comes to guns, in many ways, I believe I have much more in common with all of you, a crowd of proud, law-abiding, and responsible gun owners, than I do with a crowd of people who just want to ban guns. Now, I want to keep it real. I'm going to be honest. There are probably still some areas where you and I may disagree. Probably fewer than you'd think, but still, I'm pretty sure, based on the things that I've heard here today, that we don't agree on everything. That's okay. Thank you. But make no mistake, that stuff, those few areas where we may disagree, that is not why I'm here. Just the opposite. I'm here because of how incredibly much we fundamentally do agree. The fact is, I didn't come here to build common ground. I came here because I know that there's common ground that already exists. And because I believe that that common ground represents a huge opportunity to do what we all want at the end of the day, which is to keep us all safe. And just as importantly, the common ground I want to talk about here today represents an opportunity to keep us all safe without, now wait for it, without any involvement of the government. Because I've always believed, if you want to talk about preventing tragedies with guns that are legally owned, that should be a conversation you have with the people who own those guns. Right? And that's the conversation that I've come to be a part of here today. To talk about what gun owners can do to reclaim the narrative in this country, as we've heard other speakers talk about, to prove what I already know, that the overwhelming majority of gun owners, the overwhelming majority of you, like the overwhelming majority of human beings, are decent, responsible, law-abiding people who, same as anyone, feel awful when a tragedy happens. People who just want their families and their loved ones and their communities to be safe. To help demonstrate that the gun owners of our nation recognize that with the fundamental right to own a gun comes a fundamental responsibility to do it safely. And to help prove, as all of you are proving here today, that you're not just willing to talk the talk, but that you're willing to walk the walk. I am so inspired by so many of the people I've met here today, by so many of the things I've heard here today, like about the organization Walk the Walk, like the effort that Josh was talking about earlier around Hold My Guns. That is a real commitment to walking the walk. And as part of my commitment to walking that walk, I regard my being here today as just the beginning. I hope we're going to be seeing a lot more of each other. In fact, I'm excited to announce that I'll be working with members of the gun community, including a lot of people that are here today, on a new project called the Center for Gun Rights and Responsibility that you'll be hearing more about in the coming weeks and months. Because in the end, here's what I know. I know that if we can have an honest conversation about guns in this conversation, conversation where people who own guns and people who don't can come together and acknowledge and accept both the rights and responsibilities that come with gun ownership, we have a massive opportunity to both protect the rights of gun owners and to do what you and I and every decent American wants, and that's to keep ourselves, our loved ones, our communities, and our nation safe. Thank you.
Our next speaker is someone much more familiar.
All right,
with the gun rights
Mitch.
He's been
Gotta
working
get the
for
banner
over
off the
15
screen
years.
here.
I think one of the most
That was a pretty interesting conversation there, or speech, really. This is Dan Gross, former president of the Brady Center, which, most folks would associate with being anti-gun. But, here this man is there telling us that he believes in the Second Amendment and that he wants to find ways to work together. I think it takes a lot of guts for someone like him to come and speak and be a part of an event like this. What did you think, Mitch?
Yeah, definitely. I was standing right next to the stage, and I could just see, like, he had tears in his eyes talking about it. He was very passionate, but very, very sincere, and it was awesome to see everybody accept him there, knowing that this guy spent years, fighting against our rights, to come up here and bravely say that he wanted to be partnered with us now, and realize he needed to get away from the Brady campaign, who was just there to take away guns. They weren't there for safety, but just to take away firearms. And he's not going to be involved in that anymore. It was awesome. That's one thing that I noticed today, looking out at the crowd, is that it's not your typical what people would stereotypically think of a two-way route. You look at this crowd, and it's just all types of people. It's really inspiring, and it's an awesome thing to be around.
That's awesome, man. How's the battery on your phone doing?
Oh, I'm at about 35% right now. So.
Oh no, we need to find this man a battery pack and quick.
And I don't know if you guys saw Maj Toure got up there and spoke. I did get that whole speech filmed, so we will be able to put that whole thing out for everybody to hear if no one heard that. So
gotcha.
He got up and did his thing as he usually does. I mean, he's just such a great speaker, and he inspired a lot of people. It was pretty awesome.
Excellent. I appreciate that report. We've kind of missed a few speakers here and there, so it's hard to know who has spoken and who has not yet. Do you know who we have coming up next?
Not sure who's up there right now, but I know that there's still, I believe, Hickok 45. He hasn't spoken yet. I can't remember. She runs stilettos and shotguns. She's got to speak. She's with the female.
Yeah, Carrie Sloan.
That's who it is. She hasn't spoken yet. So there's still several coming up.
Awesome. Well, we'll let you go so you can preserve your battery as much as possible. We'd definitely like to try to hear Hickok 45's speech, or any others that you think would be worthwhile. Just make sure to pop in here, and we'll try to bring that coverage to you folks watching at home. Thanks again.
When someone comes in, I'll just pop in for you guys.
Thanks so much, Mitch. Appreciate it.
All right.
All righty. So again, we just got done hearing from Dan Gross, former president of the Brady campaign. Again, kind of like what I was talking about with Mitch. That took a lot of guts, I think, for someone like him and with his background to come to an event like this and accept the invitation, because I assume that the invitation was extended to speak, because a lot of folks might not necessarily think that we can see eye to eye or that we can work together. And maybe he's had some of his ideals or his viewpoints changed. I don't know. But again, a very important thing about this entire rally is that if you feel that we can work together to advance the Second Amendment and the freedoms we enjoy as it relates to gun rights in this country, then this is the rally for you. And this is the rallying cry that we all together are the gun lobby. We the people, average Joes and Janes and folks just from every corner of life, every background, every uh, perspective or viewpoint. If you are generally pro Second Amendment, then we should find ways to work together, because that, I think, will accomplish a lot more than being on opposing sides of pro gun folks and anti gun folks, and just yelling at each other and fighting and bickering with one another and not accomplishing anything, and leaving out a lot of the people in the middle or in between as well. Keep in mind, I think that the fight for the Second Amendment is actually more about the people in the middle than it is the people that are either really staunchly pro-gun or anti-gun. And the reason why I say that the fight is about those people in the middle is because it's about us working together and hopefully changing ideas, changing perspectives, changing viewpoints. Because the people in the middle are the ones that are impressionable, that are willing to look at the facts, that are willing to look at both sides, and probably be swayed by them that has the better or stronger argument or reason. And so I believe that as we work to advance our rights in this country, particularly with the Second Amendment, that our job is to work on the people in the middle and not be just yelling across this divide between two very opposing sides. And that's what I'm seeing coming together at this event right now on the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. And that's a pretty remarkable thing, I think. Let's take another short break. We appreciate you guys for being here with us and watching our live coverage of the Second Amendment rally in Washington, D.C. Again, periodically we do need to take some breaks, particularly so I can try to work behind the scenes to bring you your next live coverage from the event there. So stay tuned. Don't go very far. We won't be very long. I promise you of that. And we'll be right back. Thanks so much. And we're back. Thanks so much, folks, for being a part of this live stream today. Live coverage from the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., where the Second Amendment rally is taking place. We've had quite an awesome experience, I think, here as we've watched for almost 2 hours now this coverage of this event. We've had a few speakers we've been able to pipe through into the live stream and allow you folks to see and hear some of the activity there on the ground. I am your host, Riley Bowman, also host of the twice a week Concealed Carry podcast. And just having a great time, even though I couldn't be there personally on the ground at the event due to some previously scheduled family events here at the home base. I'm there in spirit and doing what I can to help promote this event and hopefully get it some further coverage because we have no idea how this is going to be perceived or received or presented by the media, or even if the media is going to give it much attention at all. But as those that have been here and watched some of the live feed, you've seen that there's pretty good crowd there gathered at the 2A rally. So pretty exciting to see for something that's only been really an idea for just a few short weeks, that in rapid order, over 30 speakers were secured to be there and to speak at this event. We just got done hearing a few moments ago Dan Gross, former president of the Brady campaign, which many that are probably watching view as a very anti-gun organization. And he is no longer with that organization. And his comments, I thought, were particularly poignant as he mentioned wanting to be a part of this community and work together with pro-2A gun owners to, advance the Second Amendment, to advance the cause of freedom. And what he said in particular, and I agree with this wholeheartedly, that no matter exactly our viewpoints on guns and gun rights in this country, we all want to be safe. We all want to be secure. Now, sometimes we may have some differences about how is best to do that. But again, as I got done a moment ago in my own commentary, explaining how it's really important for us as a Second Amendment pro-2A community to recognize that the fight is not necessarily about left versus right or Democrat versus Republican or pro-gun versus anti-gun. I mean, that is true, especially that last bit there, anti-gun versus pro-gun, but it's not so much those very widely divided sides fighting against each other. It's really about a lot of the folks in the middle, right? And if we lose the people in the middle of this debate, then whichever side loses those people, that will be the losing side. What we know, going back and looking at statistics for the last 30, 40 plus years, back in the late 70s, early 80s, there was about half of American households who were gun owners or had guns in their household. Now that's about 33%. About a third of American households is all there is that owns guns. Now, there's a lot of guns out there. It's estimated there's well over 300 million guns in this country. But the percentage of American gun owners, that has decreased. Now, I'd like to think that it is on an upward trend. We're seeing new demographics come into the fold, so to speak. We're seeing minorities, we're seeing women, we're seeing LGBT community folks, all becoming more and more active in the Second Amendment scene, becoming gun owners, becoming passionate about personal defense, all of that. So it's been a remarkable thing to see, but we're really just at the beginning. And meanwhile, we know that we've got people in this country that want to restrict guns even further, that want to take our rights away from us. I believe these Second Amendment rights are, in my opinion, God-granted, God-given rights. If you're not a God believer, then they are naturally bestowed rights. These are fundamental human rights, the right to self-defense, personal defense, And that would include, by default, then whatever tool reasonably necessary to affect that personal defense. So, yes, just I'm checking messages and trying to make sure that we get the next guests or next live streamers online with us here. I do know that we had a live view there a moment ago from Mark, who is one of our Guardian Nation members, and a long time fan and listener of the Concealed Carry podcast. We had a live view from his perspective there at the event. And we also had Mitch Gert, our social media manager. He's up a lot closer to the stage there. It was a lot of fun having that split screen, seeing the view from a ways back with the full U.S. Capitol in view and the crowd and everything, but also being up front there and being able to hear and see the speaker, which in this case, as we mentioned a moment ago, is Dan Gross. Now, so far we know that speakers that have gone so far have been Mike Sodini, Chris Chang, Cheryl Todd, Maj Touré. We learned from Mitch just a few minutes ago that he's already spoken. Unfortunately, we did not get live video of that. It's challenging because those speakers are just going about like this, just about as fast as they can switch them out. There's more than 30 speakers lined up at this event, so they all have just about 5 minutes or so to share what they came to share. We know that we've had Amy Dillon speak. My belief is that we've got Carrie Sloan from We the Female coming up here in a bit, and we know that Hickok 45 is also going to be speaking here in a bit, and we hope to be able to stream that live as well. Other speakers, I believe, still yet to go. Cam Edwards from Bearing Arms and Tim Harmson from the Military Arms Channel. Many folks familiar, of course, with Tim and his long-running YouTube channel there. Todd Fosse, a friend of mine and a great instructor from Integrative Defense Strategies. Integrative Defense Strategies, I believe, is still up to, he has yet to speak. And I don't know that we've heard from Gabby Franco yet, or Eric Blanchard from Iraq Veteran 8888. So just a little bit of a kind of update there on speakers. Again, over 30 of them lined up for this event. And again, this was all pulled together very quickly, just in a few short weeks, with a minimal working committee behind the scenes making this all happen. Of course, a lively discussion and debate going on the YouTube comments right now, and we do appreciate that. It's good to have a conversation and a debate about things. Hope that folks are. We encourage you to be respectful in your debate and in your conversations with one another. Again, I'd like to focus on what we can do to work together, right? To work together. Now, even if you don't necessarily consider yourself pro-gun, I think that you probably care about safety and about security for yourself and for your household. And while you may not be interested anytime soon in becoming a gun owner or a concealed carrier or someone that is that owns a gun for home defense or for defense of your family, but I believe that, and I'm privileged in my work as host of the Concealed Carry podcast, where for over 360 episodes now and millions of listens, we've had the privilege of being able to share dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds now actually, it's in the hundreds of these what we call justified save stories. And what that is, a justified save is a term we created to describe what commonly is referred to in the 2A community as a defensive gun use, or DGU. But we liked the phrase justified save because of what it describes and what it represents. Now, defensive gun use isn't bad, but I like to think of it in terms of my personally carried firearm is for personal defense. It's for saving lives. That's not the only purpose for it, but that is its main primary purpose for me, at least the one that I carry on my person. It is for saving lives, either my own personal life or the life of my children, my family, whatever. perhaps even my neighbor, all right, if called upon or if that becomes necessary. And so that's what I believe a gun is for saving lives. Even if we outlawed guns completely in this country, go look at what's happened in Great Britain and you look at some of the violent crime that occurs there. And maybe it's not necessarily being perpetrated as much with guns, although that still does happen, but it's happening with knives and with sticks and with other violent acts. The same is true in Australia. And unfortunately, people are unable to defend themselves. In many cases, they're unable to defend themselves successfully because they don't have proper tools at their disposal. So my gun is for saving lives. And of course, we should only use that deadly force in a justified manner, in a manner that is in accordance with law. And so we termed these justified saves. And back to where I was going with all of this, that I've had the privilege as host of the Concealed Carry podcast for these last 3.5, well, actually, I think approaching now 4 years. I've had the privilege of covering many of these justified save stories, hundreds of them. And through that, I have learned just how often and also just how necessary the right to freely bear arms, particularly for personal defense, just how important that is. And that's not the only purpose. Okay. But that is a very important one, a very personal one. Now, we were working on actually connecting behind the scenes here, Mark, who we just had a live stream from, and also Mitch, our social media manager, because Mark said he had a battery pack he was willing to lend to Mitch. I believe they've now connected and hopefully exchanged that battery pack. Hopefully we can get Mitch back. And get him, because that last stream he said he was down into the 30% of as far as his battery life is concerned. And so anyway, David, I appreciate your comment there. I'm happy to take some time out of my Saturday here today to help broadcast the rally. I'm going to keep this going as long as I can. I don't know that I'll be able to stick around throughout the remainder of the event or not. Kind of just depends on some things here at home with the family. But we'll keep it going as long as we can. We'll also keep it going as long as some of you are actually watching. So I've been noticing that the numbers have dwindled somewhat. You might consider sharing this live stream with your own personal audience, friends, and family, in putting the word out there. That's part of doing this. I'm doing this hoping that people will see and take notice and be able to participate. And so your efforts in sharing this live stream and sharing this information is also greatly appreciated as well. Yes, actually, we should totally get C4 Defense in. Tony is commenting here. Sarge over there at C4 Defense. Perhaps we can get him in. Let me see if I can connect with him. So we'll take another short break here. I'll see if I can connect with C4 Defense as well. Thanks for watching so much, guys. Hey, folks, welcome back. I apologize, a little bit longer break than what I initially intended. Just scrambling here, trying to get things lined up and trying to get some folks back on, or maybe some new ones uh, as part of this live stream, so we can see what's going on the ground there at the U.S. Capitol for the Second Amendment rally. Now, I know this is kind of awkward because I'm live streaming here from a remote location in Denver, Colorado. But this is my way of participating in this rally and helping getting the word out to the masses. I am your host, Riley Bowman, also host of the Concealed Carry podcast. And you are watching live coverage and commentary about the Second Amendment rally taking place today. It ends at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I will keep this broadcast going as long as I am able to. I appreciate that for now, for over 2 hours, many of you have been with us watching this and participating in this live broadcast. Thank you so very much. I've just been firing away some messages to some folks that I know are there on the ground and seeing if we can get some more of them in here for the live stream so we can see what's going on there. So appreciate your patience with all of this, and we do take some breaks here periodically and do appreciate your patience with those as well. But we've had some great stuff already so far. We've heard from a number of folks there. Looks like we have Mitch back in, and someone else is taking the stage, so we will go now to Mitch's live stream. All right, and here's Mitch. Who do we have speaking next?
Importantly, you all are here, and it takes time, effort, and for some of you, a lot of effort and money, to get here. And I, for one, appreciate it. I know everybody does. So, welcome. It's great to see everybody on this papers in one place. And of course, me, man, it doesn't get a feel of you to act like I'm saying something intelligent up here and maybe block one. But there it is. But I have a tendency to ramble, do I? Yeah, a lot, right? Not today. I wrote it down, so I'm out of here in a few minutes. So I'm going to be good and have respect for my fellow speakers. And better yet, for you all, you've been here a long time. It's great that you're still here. So anyway, I don't know how profound anything I have to say will be, but it's great to be here. Great to see you all again here representing your communities, your family, your friends, and the gun owners who just couldn't make it, and who really couldn't make it. Had to work, and it's too expensive for them to travel. There's some legitimate reasons for not getting here. So you're representing them as well, and yourself, of course, your community. But guess who else you're representing? It occurred to me. Well, you might not be aware of it, but there's a group of some fearless renegade types. They belong to an interesting gang a few years back, and you might recognize some of the names: James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, John F. And they were quite a gang, and in a lot of ways we pay homage to them and out of respect to them if we gather here. I really believe that. Yep, our founding fathers, imperfect like us, but brilliant, unlike me, very brilliant, and could see into the future. And we just the amount of respect for those people that I have, I know you do, is enormous. Too bad they're gone. Wouldn't it be great to have one of them up here, have all of them up here? James Madison talking about these issues right now. It would just where's Rob Serling when we need him? They are here. Good point. They are in spirit. They are here, and we're continuing that for them. But their voices are here. The Constitution speaks loud and clear for those who understand history, and for those whose brains have not been sedated by social media and whatever sitcoms and all the pop culture of today. People who actually think about things and can actually think deeply on a good day. So these men are our inspiration. But we have to be careful. We have to be careful, I think, because we tend to see the primary obstacles in our cause as these gun banners that work in this beautiful building behind us. We tend to think of that as, about the enemy, but a big obstacle. The real obstacle are our friends and our neighbors, the other citizens who voted them into office, right? Look at the elections, look at the number of votes, even the losers get, or the winners. It's those people that vote for them, that they represent. That's, I will say, the problem. Those millions of neighbors that voted them into gun banners in. They know they're gun banners. They voted them in anyway. Okay? Maybe because of that. So whether we like it or not, we're in a battle for the hearts and minds. Our neighbors, our co-workers, just a lot of the people we know. These people can actually determine whether we have even crazier, more oppressive gun laws. And as tough as it is sometimes, we've got to be the adults in the room. The calm, cool, collected ones who have the facts on our side. As contrasted with the wild-eyed and the accusations we hear and the crazy claims we get from the emotional gun haters. We've got to keep our cool and use reason, common sense. The tempting reaction, of course, when we hear this crazy, this idiocy and this ignorance from the gun banners, is to throw up our hands and just dare them to come and take them. It's tempting for all of us. Well, we hope it doesn't come to that. It could, but we hope it doesn't come to that. We all get frustrated with this lack of common sense. And basically, what I think, we don't want to alienate those folks on the fence. That's our goal, not to alienate them. And what can happen in many cases is it just pushes them on over into that group of gun banners, the totalitarian, thinkers that we just hate so much, right? So what can we do? Wrap up with what I don't have all the solutions, but I think some things we can do are we can bring in new shooters to the sport and educate them properly. Yeah, often as possible. We can know the facts and continue to debunk the many false narratives that are perpetuated by the gun banners. We can quit making fun of gamers, where millions of folks of all ages to learn about these cool firearms that we all have, because that's where a lot of the folks, young folks and older folks, are learning about firearms and developing an interest. We can make sure we're setting a good example, being safe, responsible gun owners, just ourselves in every single way we can. We can remain calm and civil when we find ourselves debating firearms issues with those who disagree with us. We can keep our focus on the Second Amendment, separated from party politics and religion as much as possible. There's nothing good that's going to come from alienating large groups of people out there who might think differently from us in some ways. Party, political party, religion, whatever it is. It should go without even saying everybody, regardless of religion, political party, race, gender, ethnic background, color, height, sexual orientation, weight, shoe size, IQ, whatever, is welcome in our big Bill of Rights party, Second Amendment party. Right? Certainly, IQ should not be a factor, right? I would never be here. Last point. We need to avoid the divisiveness that you're within our community, trying to eat our own. Some of us just cannot resist playing the "I'm a better patriot than you" game. It's kind of a game sometimes. And constantly being on the witch hunt for an infidel. They're out there, but we got to be careful not to be looking for them all the time or creating them. The last thing we need is anything that unnecessarily divides us. We're all in this together, basically. One of those gangsters I was talking about earlier kind of got it right when he said, "We must indeed all hang together, or most assuredly we shall all hang separately." Right? Last thing, remember, the real rally, I'm not a good cheerleader, but the real rally is where? The voting booth. Right? Let's all make sure we get there. Thank you all. Thank you all.
That is awesome. Great remarks from Hickok 45 there. I appreciated some of his historical references, talking about some of our founding fathers of this nation. Mitch, how's it going down there on the ground?
It's going well. Just rolling along. Got speakers coming up one after another. It's every once in a while I look out and it seems like more people keep trickling in. I think we're attracting people that are walking by, maybe coming to check it out. But it's here. I'll kind of give you a show of what I can't zoom for some reason with this software.
Sure.
But there's quite a few people out here. There's a good turnout. I was just talking to Emily Valentine from Not Your Average Gun Girls podcast, and they live here in DC, and they said this is just a great turnout, especially for this area. They just had a rally here not long ago, and she said maybe 20 or 30 people showed up, and for us to have, I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people here right now. So it's a pretty amazing thing to see.
That's awesome. Question: have you seen any like counter protests or anything like that going on?
No, not really. I mean, you have a couple hecklers here and there for something they might not agree with being said, but other than that, I haven't seen any sort of counter protests or anything. It's just a lot of support, basically. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
And I haven't noticed any mainstream media, but I was trying to keep my eye out to see what they would have here, but I haven't seen anybody yet. I'm sure they got something here.
Well, they're missing out if they're not there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Did you get the battery pack issue figured out?
Yeah. Mark came and helped me out. I got a little bit more battery here. I think I should hopefully make it to the end of the rally now. I know he's been helping give me some camera coverage too. His phone was down to about 20% when he gave me the battery pack. So I got mine built up a little bit, and I should hopefully make it to the end now.
Okay. Well, we're glad to hear that, and we appreciate you being there and bringing us this live view from the ground there at the U.S. Capitol. Any ideas to what's next here?
We got not sure who's up here. It's the gun for hire. You should be
Anthony Calandra. Yeah, I think we should probably listen to what he has to say.
Yeah, I'll step up in here and get him on now.
Cool. All right, so we are going to hear now Anthony Calandra. He is with Gun for Hire.
In the 2A community. The Supreme Court is the only place that hasn't been bought yet by Bloomberg and his ilk. I believe, and I've been saying this for years, that states like New Jersey with their oppressive laws are going to backfire sooner or later. And we are going to get a ruling from the Supreme Court that's going to send New Jersey, New York, California kicking and screaming, and they're going to identify and they're going to recognize our Second Amendment right. What a lot of people want to know what's going on in the country right now. Let me make it clear for you. Why are we offering so many free things for criminals and illegals? Because we need a two-tiered system in this country to move to full-on communism. Right now, we have the first tier, which is the protected class, and the political elites who have armed guards 24/7 and live behind walled estates. Then we have the second tier, which is the criminals and the illegals, because our government, they want a welfare state because those are secured votes for them to stay in office for 40, 50, or 100 years. It's free stuff over freedom. We've become the third tier, the law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. Our tier is in their way for total control. And what do we possess that they want to take away from us? Our firearms. They know that's what stands between us and total communist rule. I'm telling you, I've predicted this for years, and it's going to happen. We are under attack nonstop, 24/7. Who knew George Orwell's books, Animal Farm in 1984, would be available in nonfiction now? If you don't know what I'm referencing, go to a library. We all need to wake up and mobilize, okay? We are running out of time. We need to draw a line in the sand in all 50 states. It is our fault. We've gotten lazy. We've allowed the country, the politicians to rule us. It happened in the Roman Empire. What took 5,000 years is only going to take 250 years here. What can we do? First, everyone needs to vote and get their friends and family out to vote. Let's send the career politicians packing home and let them live under the shitty laws they passed for us. Second, we need to stop the infighting, state to state, organization to organization, for our survival. There's no room for egos anymore. This is a fight for our way of life and our freedom as Americans. And third, we need to make our voices heard. Get involved at the state and local level. It's great civics lessons for your kids. Go to town hall meetings. Cause a stir. Make your voices heard. Because remember, it is we, the people. And unity and activism is key. And God bless you all and all you patriots for being here today.
Fantastic remarks from Anthony Calandra from Gun for Hire there. Again, watching live coverage of the... We'll go ahead and mute this for just a moment. If Mitch comes back, we'll put him on. But live coverage from the Second Amendment rally in Washington, D.C. There's Mitch. That was fantastic stuff there. I enjoyed that one very much.
Great stuff.
It's hard to
Yeah.
Yeah, now we got Pincus back up on stage. He's going to be introducing somebody else here. Not sure who he's got up. There's I know we got at least half a dozen or so speakers left. So
Awesome.
Still going. We're still going strong. We got another hour left.
Right. I was going to say we hit 3 o'clock Eastern time there, so about another hour for the rally. Hey, are you seeing any I know that parade is going on with the Washington Nationals. Are you seeing any traffic or groups of people as a result of that? Or
I think there's people that are mulling by that are heading over to the parade. They've got close to 1 million people attending this parade right now.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy. Looking out down towards the Washington Monument, you can see everybody across the National Mall kind of walking back and forth. The parade started an hour ago, and it looks like they kind of wind their way down right near the rally here. So I'm guessing at that point we're gonna see a cluster of people coming over here. And it just having all these people going to this parade just shows the dedication that came here. And streets are closed all around us here. I mean, it's hard to get into where we're at right now, and we've had all these people still come and show up and get through this. Mark, our Mark Okielki, our fan here, he came all the way from California with his daughter to this rally. I mean, it's the show of support is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Indeed. Any idea as to who's coming up next?
I'm not sure. They put somebody up while we were talking here, so I mean I can step back in and give you a sneak. I didn't hear exactly who it was.
Well, maybe we can see if we can figure it out.
Yeah, I'll get back in here in a second.
All right. Well, we appreciate all the work you're doing for us down there.
Fully involved in protecting our rights. It means that we cannot sit on the sidelines. We cannot hope someone else will do it for us. Only we can keep our republic, our Constitution, and our Second Amendment. Now, we can fulfill our obligation to protect our rights in many different ways, but the most powerful of which is grassroots activism. And that means you standing here at this rally, you watching this on your live stream, you listening to this 2 years from now. This means you doing what you know you need to do. Grassroots is without a doubt the most powerful weapon that we have. Because after all, the buck stops with the voters. I believe that a handful of determined, smart, and mildly angry individuals can change the world through grassroots action. Sometimes, as activists, we pool our resources, form organizations to become more powerful. And as members of those organizations, we still need to hold them accountable to the obligation of protecting our rights. That's actually what my organization, Save the Second, does. We're focused on fixing the NRA on a fundamental level, returning them to a place of efficiency and effectiveness, as well as updating them to modern gun. Bump stocks, anybody? That's there's actually some petitions going around. If you are a voting member of the NRA, you can sign those to help get term limits to their board of directors. But no matter what, we the people have to take the fight to the gun grabbers. We have to rally like we are here. We have to testify in our legislatures, our town halls, and city councils. We have to campaign for pro-gun candidates. We have to take the fight right to them, right down into the trenches. And in the end, it will come down to you and what you choose to do. Will you do nothing, or almost nothing, and allow our rights to be slowly and completely eroded? Will you choose to let someone else do it for you while putting in none of your own time, money, or effort? Will you allow the gun grabbers to continue dismantling our basic and fundamental guarantee of a natural right to self-defense through the ownership of arms? Or will you choose to fulfill your obligations, your Constitution, our freedom, and our Second Amendment? Will you choose instead to fight to keep this republic? Will you rise and meet your duty to preserve, promote, and expand our right to keep and bear arms? Will you walk away from here today after hearing the words of so many of these awesome and amazing speakers and do everything you can for our Second Amendment? I hope you will. Our freedom depends on you getting involved in this fight. My name is Anthony Garcia of Save the Second. Thank you for listening.
So that was Anthony Garcia from Save the Second that was speaking just a minute ago. I thought that might be him, but I was unsure, so I didn't put it up on the screen. Man, that was some fired up stuff that Anthony had for us there. That was fantastic. We'll see who we have coming up here next. I do have confirmation that I've got Amy Dillon, who spoke earlier. She's going to be joining our live stream here soon. We'll see when she gets here. So we'll wait a moment for her to pop in here.
Yeah, she gave a very passionate speech earlier. It was very good.
Yep.
Her and Gabby Franco, both from the DC Project, were up. Both of them were excellent.
So Gabby has spoken now then?
Yeah, Gabby spoke second or third in the lineup today.
Gotcha. And have we heard from Diana Moeller yet?
Yeah, she was up there. I think she went second.
Gotcha. Well, it's too bad that we missed a few of those, but
film of some of those, and so I'll be able to update that later. I actually filmed for Diana. She gave me her phone. I filmed some for her.
Nice. That's awesome.
So he's announcing the next speaker. So we'll see who's coming up next year.
All right.
There's wonderful.
We'll just listen in here for a moment.
Jeff Snyder. It's called Nation of Cowards, and by golly, you need to read it. Jeff Snyder's Nation of Cowards. I'll put a link to it on my website at firearmscoalition.org. Years ago, I've been in the gunfight my whole life. I grew up in it. My dad was big in this whole thing. And years ago, I was the young guy in the room when everybody was lamenting about how everybody in the room was old guys. Well, now I'm an old guy. One of the other laments that was going along all of those years was that, man, this is a really white crowd. And one of the first people to start breaking that down was Brother Ken Blanchard with Black Man with a Gun. I met Ken in about 2008 at the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and I actually missed an award that they were giving to me as the Grassroots Activist of the Year because I was out in the hall talking to Brother Ken. He is an absolutely fantastic man doing fantastic work. He's all over the internet on his podcasts and things. Ladies and gentlemen, Brother Ken Blanchard.
Welcome to Washington, D.C., brothers and sisters. Thank you for standing. Thank you for being here, for showing your face. So these, your politicians, will serve you. I'm just here to remind you for a few minutes that gun rights are civil rights. When I was 2, my stepfather brought me here to hear a man who said the time is always right to do the right thing. Can I get an amen, somebody? Today I represent the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There are many people in the religious communities, Christian, non-Christians, Jews, Gentiles, Greeks, you name us, all of us have a belief system, whether it is in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob or not. But what brings us together is our right to love life, liberty, and freedom. That's what makes America different. Amen, somebody. I'm not like one of those who preaches and has a security guard team follow me around. I'm not one of those guys who preaches disarmament but has a concealed carry permit. I'm not one of those who preaches one thing and does another. There's another word for that. You and I know, yes, you and I know that guns do not equal murder. I represent that small group of people who have the moral courage to say no to racist gun laws. I represent the ones who have the moral background and backbone to protect their families against domestic terrorists and against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and still go to church on Sunday. I remember those old guys who became the deacons of defense and justice. I remember those and know those who take training, who are trained and stand watch for those who are innocent. It's good to be with you guys today. I stand before you as one who remembers and has read the Holy Book, where David said, "Blessed be the Lord my strength, which teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight." Thank you, brothers and sisters, for standing up and not bowing down. Don't let what you fear could happen make nothing happen. Dr. King also said, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. God bless.
Wow, powerful words from Ken Blanchard of Black Man with a Gun. Folks, you know, he's been doing a podcast for a long time, for about as long as podcasts have been a thing. And Ken Blanchard is a true Second Amendment hero in my book, as far as what he stands for, what he does for us. Hey, Mitch, you're still there, and hopefully you're still doing okay. We appreciate you bringing us the live feed there.
Yeah.
We are going to have Amy Dillon on here in just a moment. Just waiting on her. She's getting set up, so she'll be with us pretty soon.
All right. Well, when you have her on, I will. I'll take a little break here, save some of this battery, and make sure I pop back in when we get some more speakers on here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a question from somebody viewing here on YouTube. How many people turned out for the rally? I mean, what would you say from what you can estimate there?
You know, it's hard to estimate, but I there's several hundred at the very least. I mean, Josh was telling me earlier that he thought there's probably at least 1,000 or more. It seems that we've had people coming in and out throughout the whole time as well. People are just like we're on the lawn here, and it's got a fence all the way around, and there's people just kind of lining that fence and sitting and listening all day. And, so it's just been kind of a constant flow of people.
Nice. Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me at all as far as folks kind of, coming in and going, and stuff. So Tony here on Facebook says he wishes this were an annual event. Well, who knows? Maybe it'll turn into something.
Yeah. I mean that's a possibility. I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah. Now, with this being a grassroots, organized thing, not terribly organized, but organized just enough, I guess, to get some people to show up. I know that the list they've compiled on the website, secondamendmentrally.com, they're saying that email list, just because of security reasons and stuff, they're going to destroy that, which I think is interesting, but I understand the reason behind that. Hey, do you know who we have coming up here next?
I believe they've got the guy from Guns for Everyone. I know there's an Instagram channel, Guns for Everyone.
Yeah.
But he's up there. He just started speaking now.
Awesome. Looks like I have Amy Dillon in here now, so I'm going to let you go, Mitch, and we'll check back with you in a bit.
All right. See you guys soon.
Thank you. All right. Hey, Amy, welcome.
Hey, Riley. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks for doing this. You're on the ground there.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I've got the rally happening right behind me.
Yeah. Is that Dave Smith I just saw there?
Yes.
Shaky Dave. Hello. How you doing, man? Good to see him. So we heard part of your remarks earlier and thought, boy, you just did a really excellent job getting the crowd fired up there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, and I wish we could have caught more of that. I was hoping you could maybe kind of retell some of what you shared, your personal kind of life story as it relates to the Second Amendment.
Yeah, so when I was asked to be a speaker, I asked myself, what do I really want to share with the crowd? And for me, it's about why the Second Amendment means so much to me. And so in order to do that, I decided to share some personal, family history of mine. And I was telling the crowd how, the reason I'm so patriotic and the reason I love this country so much and, I'm proud to be an American citizen is because my family experienced the tyrannical government coming in and destroying their homes and trying to take over. And so I shared that. My dad, who grew up in the Philippines, when he was 7 years old and my grandfather was out fighting with the U.S. military during World War II, the Japanese Imperial Army came in and basically destroyed their house. And my dad, with the rest of his family, my family, they fled to the mountains in the Philippines and hid there for several months while, a tyrannical government was destroying their homes. So for me, it's, the reason my dad wanted me to grow up here and we immigrated here is because of the rights that we have as a free people. And I don't ever want that taken away. My military service means a tremendous, it means so much to me. And, with my family's military history, I just wanted to convey that to the crowd and ensure that they know that it's, their duty, it's everyone's duty to uphold our rights and to understand why it's so important. And I've always been known to say, Second Amendment is not necessarily about hunting. It's not necessarily about even self-defense. It's about we, the people, being self-governed. We have the right to bear arms and protect ourselves against a foreign military, or a tyrannical government. So that was my message.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That is so awesome.
I'm really honored and inspired to have shared it with everyone today.
Oh, wonderful. And thank you for kind of retelling that for us again here on this live stream. We've been streaming for almost 3 hours now.
That's crazy. Well, thank you. Thanks for the work. I know it's definitely hard.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see the turnout, to see the speakers,
oh my gosh,
to see the energy there in the crowd. People are fired up, and I only wish I could be there. It just wasn't in the cards for me this go around. But thank you for being there and for taking a few minutes and talking with us here.
Yeah, and thanks for capturing it for all of those that couldn't make it out today. But definitely, it's energetic, it's inspiring, and it's pretty awesome to see an incredible group coming together for our Second Amendment rights.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Amy, thank you so much. We'll let you go. Good luck to you, and hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see
All
you.
right, bye.
That's awesome. We love Amy. She's top notch, and as you could probably tell from listening to her story there about kind of her family history and everything that means to her, particularly with the Second Amendment in mind. And so awesome to talk with her. I'm glad we were able to get her on. Let's see here. I don't know if Mitch is going to pop back in here momentarily or not, but we've been going for a little while now, so I am going to take just a short break. Bear with me. We'll work on getting kind of the next live coverage from the ground there up in the feed. We do appreciate you all for being a part of this and watching together with me all this time. And so we'll take a short break. I promise we'll keep it brief. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. More coverage here from the Second Amendment rally at the U.S. Capitol. We've got Josh Gilliam, our managing editor at concealedcarry.com. He's going live there, and he's going to pipe in the stream for us for a little bit. Hopefully we can pick up some of what's being said. So we'll pull him in now. All right, so there we got Josh. He's kind of walking through the crowd. We'll see if we can figure out who's speaking. Oh, looks like Josh is muted. Let's see if I can get him unmuted. Yeah, I don't know why it's not unmuting for me. It looks like he's got the control on that. So as we see the rally here, can't see clearly enough through the camera who it is that's speaking. Love that sign right there. I will not comply. Phrase made famous by my friend Diana Moeller. I've actually messaged Diana asking if she'd be willing to come on the live stream for us. We'll see if she gets that message and is able to do so. Just messaging Josh. Oh, there we go.
As an immediate or intuitive recognition of moral, psychological, and aesthetic qualities. What if I am able to stand here today and change your perception of why and how you fight for the Second Amendment? Would you be more determined to fight for it? Would you?
Yeah.
If I give you a better reason than shall not be infringed, are you willing to listen?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I came here today. I'm going to change your perception. What do you see when you look at me? Do you see a strong, professional woman? Do you see my boobs? Is that? That's cool. I identify as a woman. It's cool. Do you see a fearless, unapologetic advocate for Americans' constitutional rights that isn't afraid to stand in Kamala Harris's face and call her out?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, by the way. Do you see a powerful voice for the women's right to self-defense? I just lost the speech. Sorry, y'all.
Women's rights for their bodies.
Right? Yeah, that's right. Do you know what you don't see when you look at me? You don't see an emotionally fragile, broken woman who couldn't make a sandwich because I feared it was going to be wrong, and then I was demeaned for not making that sandwich at all. You don't see a woman who made excuses when she was verbally abused in public. You do not see the bruises that covered my entire body, handprints around my throat from being picked up off of my feet. You do not see the cracked teeth, and you do not see how I was unable to eat for 5 days because my mouth was so severely cut and my jaw so swollen that I couldn't open it. You do not see the permanent bodily damage that I live with every day from being beaten bloody. This is my story, my evolution. Now I'm all gonna ugly crap. This is my evolution from being afraid of making any decisions for fear of being punished to standing here in our nation's capital to convince all of you to make the decision and take action to stand up for the Second Amendment. But now, with a different perspective on why you need to do it.
Yeah.
Don't misunderstand me. I don't stand here without fear. Quite the contrary, I am scared that women like me all over this country will continue to become byproduct casualties in a battle over our constitutionally right to bear arms and self-defense. We are all here today unified in a common goal to support our natural God-given right to defend our lives, our property, and to stand against those in government attempting to remove those constitutional rights.
Yeah.
We all know gun control laws are dangerous, and I'm not going to waste my time telling everyone what they already know. What's more important is that you understand that you all are really needed for more than just showing up to a rally to support the right to bear arms guaranteed to each and every American citizen by the United States Constitution. I am lucky to be standing here a survivor. She's lucky to be standing here a survivor. 1 in 3 women are lucky to be survivors, and 1 in 6 men. I will not forget my men. No one should ever have to feel lucky to be the survivor of abuse. So I'm here today to ask for your help. I need all of you to amplify my voice for women who are and will continue to be casualties, not only of abusers, but of unconstitutional gun laws that prevent them from being able to defend themselves. Yeah! And I keep losing my speech, you guys, I'm sorry. I need you to speak out against our laws, our culture, and our broken legal system that enables abusers to continually endanger women's lives, as well as perpetuates, supports, and even encourages women to be victims, forcing them to become dependent on the very government that endangers them with limiting their choices or completely denying them the ability to arm themselves for self-defense. Yeah! I need every one of you to return home and educate your friends, your family, your local government, and your school systems regarding the dangerous and even deadly consequences of red flag laws and other gun control laws and how they are used against victims by their abusers. Yeah! This strong, mouthy, unapologetic woman standing before you is terrifying. Not for myself. I learned the hard way in this strap. All the time. All the time. But I want you to speak for all of those women, and yes, men, and even they, the LGBTQ. They're just as much of a victim. They're Americans too. Can't forget that. And they live in fear, hiding, and still being abused, and will one day become a photo and memories at their own funerals because their mental health diagnosis of PTSD, depression, or anxiety was used against them, and they were left unable to defend themselves because of a bullshit red flag law written by a self-absorbed, power-hungry politician that pontificates about how he knows what's best for we the people. Not only do we need to bring forth this message, we also must demand that these representatives fix their broken judicial system rather than continuing to enact more gun control laws that are ineffective and potentially deadly. Yeah. I need you to not just stand here and cheer and agree, and then return home and do nothing. I speak not only for myself, but the millions of others who can't speak out because they're scared, hiding, or dead. I need you to use your voices and your vote. Yeah. To say you will no longer tolerate their patronizing, condescending behavior, and that you will make it clear to these elected representatives they will no longer be in control of how we choose how to defend ourselves. Do not let me down. Do not let your wives, your mothers, your grandmothers, your sisters, your nieces, and your daughters down. Are you willing to not only be the voice for our constitutional right to bear arms, but for also women dying because of these gun control laws? Are you? Are you willing to be their voice? I ask every one of you now, will you join my fight? Thank you.
All right, we were just watching Carrie Sloan from We the Female speaking there. Excellent remarks. Carrie is well known for being a survivor of domestic violence. She touched on it there in her remarks just now. That's a really important perspective, I believe, to share, and appreciate her for having the courage to get in, on that stage in front of a good-sized crowd. One that's been now there standing for a good 3 hours and share her story of survival. And so that was really, really, really great to hear from Carrie. I enjoyed her remarks very much. We are continuing our live coverage of the Second Amendment rally at the U.S. Capitol going on today. There's about 25 minutes left of the rally. It's scheduled to close at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We've been live for much of that time, for much of this rally, which has been pretty remarkable, and many of you still with us and watching. Thank you for watching this coverage. Actually, some questions coming in, like a question here asking about how big the turnout is. And I asked Mitch about that a little while ago as I was interviewing with him. And he said, it's hard to say exactly, maybe 1,000. Some are saying about 1,000 people. Excuse me, about 1,000 people that are there. But people are coming and going. And recognize, too, that there's a big parade going on as well, and that may be very well drawing some folks away as well. But here's the thing. This is a huge win because sources that are familiar with the D.C. area there and political events in the D.C. area, getting 1,000 people to something like this, especially a pro-gun event in what is not a super pro-gun city. This is a huge, huge, huge win to get this kind of turnout at this rally that has only been promoted for about a month's time through grassroots means. I am very excited to see the turnout at this rally. Now, we are working on getting Rob Pincus on the live stream here in a little bit. He's going to be on in about 10 to 15 minutes. He's telling me his phone is at 3%. So we'll see if maybe we can connect him with Mitch or somebody there on the ground so they can put a phone in front of him and we'll chat with Rob Pincus for a minute. So, yeah, I mean, in Pro Freedom here on YouTube is, commenting only 1,000, but we are definitely the silent majority, which is also very true. But again, I consider this turnout to be really an excellent turnout for the event that it is, the relatively short time frame it was organized within, and occurring where it is. I know that there's definitely some people that didn't want to attend because with it being right there at the U.S. Capitol, being in the confines of Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, where they couldn't carry a gun, they couldn't bring their guns, folks that wanted to be there and be part of the rally while they were open carrying and that sort of thing, I'm sure that has had an impact as well. And to that point, by the way, some folks wondered why it was being held at this particular location, why we couldn't show up with our guns and stuff like that. I think it's really important that we take something like this to the U.S. Capitol. These are our lawmakers. That is where our nation's laws are made. And doing this somewhere else would not have the same kind of impact, I feel, as being right there in the face of our lawmakers proclaiming our love for the Second Amendment. Now, there's talk about, some people even commenting here in the live stream today about, wouldn't this be great to see something like this organized nationwide in all of the nation's capitals or at their capitol buildings or whatever? And that would be amazing. And maybe in fact, I believe there will be some things that come of this that begin to filter down and organize in some of those states or more regional areas as well. But bringing together from across the country, and as you've seen, we've had people that have flown in from all over to be a part of this. so amazing to see the sacrifices. I mean, most of these people, in fact, the speakers, I can tell you this much, those that were invited to speak at this event, they are doing so at their own expense. They got themselves there. They paid for their way there. They're paying for their hotels there. They're paying for their food there. That's I mean, with this being a grassroots event, that's the nature. There's not anybody that's been paid to come. We've seen speakers like Hickok 45, Rob Pincus, others. Let me pull up the list because it's hard to, Anthony Calandra coming down from the New Jersey area, Jeff Knox, he's out from Arizona, Maj Touré from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia especially, or in particular. Cheryl Todd come out there from Arizona as well. Gabby Franco, I believe, is out of Texas someplace. Ken Blanchard, Chris Chang, he's out from California. Diana Moeller, she lives in Oklahoma. So, I mean, these folks have come out at their own expense, invited to speak, and here they are, and they are representing us well. Well, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. We'll keep it short and brief. So stay tuned. There's more to come in the last 20 minutes of this event. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, folks, welcome back to our live coverage and commentary on the Second Amendment rally at the U.S. Capitol. Wow, we've been going now for over 3 hours with this live stream. Appreciate all of you out there for being a part of this, watching, commenting, sharing, all of that. The rally is kind of wrapping up here in a few minutes. Actually, my understanding is the last speaker may have just gone. I thought it was going to go right up through 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, the rally is still going. It will end at 4 p.m. I think they're probably just doing some various announcements and things here at the end. I'm waiting on a couple. Well, hopefully a couple. At the very least, we're working on getting an interview with Rob Pincus. And so I understand his phone is down at like 3%. So we're working on connecting him with someone that can put him on screen with us, and we'll just do a little interview. Rob's been very much involved in the organization of this rally here today, so I'd definitely like to get his thoughts about everything here as it's beginning to wrap up. All right, so we're just kind of checking into some things here and seeing. Yeah, let's see here. I got a message to reply to, so stay tuned here. Actually, so we'll just take another quick short break. When we come back, I hope that we'll have Rob available for the interview. So stand by for just another couple minutes here. All righty, welcome back. So as we are entering the final minutes here of our live stream of the Second Amendment rally at the U.S. Capitol, I do have another interviewee coming up here in a moment. It should be Rob Pincus. We're just working on connecting him with a working phone for the interview of this. It's been a fantastic event here today. I've been really impressed with the speakers. I've been impressed with the messages I've heard. I've been impressed with the crowd. Good reception there. Folks really fired up. even after standing there for 2-3+ hours. It's been a really amazing rally, a wonderful experience. I only wish I could have been there to see it in person. It looks like we do have Rob with us now, so we'll go to Rob Pincus. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hey, man, how you doing? Who do I got here with me? Trench work back here. So what's going on,
Good.
man? How you doing, Riley?
How are you?
Yeah. We're doing great, man. Hey, I appreciate you for everything you're doing there on the ground and for making this event a possibility. I know things are kind of winding down. Just wanted to get your take on the rally today and how it's gone.
Yeah, it went incredibly well. I mean, even to the part where, with 30 speakers, with 3.5 hours and lots of distractions at the max, and we actually finished a little ahead of schedule, and we had time for the national anthem unexpectedly. So we had a great performance leading the whole thousands of people here in the national anthem from a young woman that came in from Ohio here with her family. It was an amazing collection of speakers, amazing response from the crowd. And I'm just really proud to have been a part of it. There were a lot of people behind the scenes working on this. Of course, Jeff Knox and I coordinating a lot of the speakers, but it really was the speakers and the participants that made this happen. They believed in the idea, and the crowd fulfilled it by showing up. And the work that you did today, which a lot of people have commented on to me, streaming this and sharing this opportunity to see what was going on here with people that couldn't make it, greatly appreciated.
No, that's no problem at all. I was glad to be able to make this work. I wasn't even sure if I'd have the availability to do much with this, and turns out we've streamed most of the entire event, and it's been really cool to see. Hey, so people have been asking about the crowd there. Were you happy with the turnout that you saw?
I really was. And the crowd actually grew a little bit towards the middle of the day. And we know that we had two things going on with the Nationals parade. Right now, I don't know if you can see, but there are literally hundreds of thousands of people gathering out there across the mall. And for the end of the parade, which just ended over there about 500 yards from us, we had thousands here. They've got hundreds of thousands there. And we know that kept a lot of the local people both distracted by that parade and from wanting to fight with the traffic and the chaos that was going on here in the city. But thousands of Americans, gun owners, still showed up. And it's a great compliment to all of the speakers and to how important this right, our Second Amendment right, is to so many Americans.
I agree. I mean, with everything going on, I mean, when I saw the Nationals win the World Series earlier this week, I thought, oh boy, it's going to get really interesting. Yeah. Where do we go from here? What do you think is next? I mean, there's no particular organization behind this particular Second Amendment rally, but what do you think is the next thing, the next steps?
Well, this broke that cliche. It broke the mold. We don't need an organization, right? We need action. Yep. We need people doing things, standing up for what they believe in, not sending a check into some organization or putting a bumper sticker on or wearing a patch or a pin. I lead some organizations. I've got no pins on today. I've got no patch on today. Today I'm here as an American gun owner, as was everyone else. And we had 30 speakers that, if you added it up, probably represent 100 different companies and organizations that are all doing great work. My organizations, I think, are doing great work. But at the end of the day, it's not about the organizations, it's about the messages. And it's about the messages representing 100 million American gun owners. And there's no single organization that's going to do that. And that's why we had this coalition here today. And that's why that's so important for the future.
I agree. I changed your title here on the screen to Rob Pincus, American gun owner.
I like it. I love it. I appreciate it. Well, listen, I got to catch up with these guys. We're going to debrief with some of the speakers, which of course means drink a beverage. We're unarmed anyway. We may as well do it. And I really appreciate the work you guys did, and look for more to come from this crowd of people, the American gun owners that were attending, going back and doing the work.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, buddy. We'll let you go. I'm actually going to do a quick interview with Michael Sodini, who's at the airport. So we'll let you go.
Great.
We'll talk to Michael. Right. We'll see you.
I appreciate it.
All right. We've got Michael Sodini on now. Good friend of mine. And he's literally walking through the airport right now. How about this?
I am. I'm walking through the airport. That's how dedicated I am to this.
I appreciate you popping in here with us basically at the tail end of the rally. I don't know if you were aware, but they got done a little bit early as far as the speaker lineup. Last speaker just spoke a few minutes ago, and they had the national anthem. And so, we're kind of at the tail end. I've been doing this live stream now for most of the event and having some great interviews with folks. But Michael, you're the leader of the organization Walk the Talk America, and I know you spoke earlier, and unfortunately we weren't able to catch or stream your speech live. but I'm glad to get you here now, and I was hoping you would share with us kind of a summary of what you spoke about today.
I spoke about mental health and firearms and bridging the gap between the two. It was actually kind of interesting because I went up there with a goal and I had a perfectly written out speech, and then one person yelled out something and I had to totally abandon where I was going with that and kind of get to the point, just because I think the issue is we just don't talk about firearms and suicide, and it's uncomfortable for people. And, people are always on the defensive. So it was interesting. I was able to glove save it though. So.
Well, I'm glad about that. Michael, you are leading the charge in this conversation about mental health, about suicide awareness, and and the intersection of all of that together with gun ownership, which can lead to some kind of uncomfortable feelings and discussions and ideas. How did you overcome that? What was your message today to kind of save your speech, as you put it?
Well, I had to cut out a lot of the intro and just get right to what we're doing as the firearms community. The programs that Walk the Talk America has created that are our own. We're not relying on other organizations, kind of like what Rob said. It's we have our own thing. It's from within the gun community out, and we are. I just was at the White House last week for 2 days of meetings. And they were pretty blown away by the stuff that Walk Talk America is doing. And so we finally have something. We're showing them what we do. So, I had to kind of like switch gears and go straight into that. And then I think at one point I even said like, oh, I got you back because like I had some applause, but I'm not surprised. It's like I said, as gun owners, and 2A supporters, we're constantly defending ourselves. So when you start talking about suicide or mental health, you're naturally going to bow up a little bit because you're like, where's this guy going with this? You know what I mean? Yeah. So look, it's, I get it. I understand. I actually had a conversation with the guy that yelled something out after. We had a very civil conversation, and, he apologized, and, we didn't see eye to eye on everything, but, that's what that rally was about. We were coming together, and people have different opinions. People have different takes on that.
Yeah, and to that point, this was about bringing together, as Rob Pincus was just telling us a moment ago, a coalition of individuals, of people, some organizations, right? But this was not about any one organization. This was about we the people, and we the people being the gun lobby. And I think that's a really important fact. Now, I'm glad you brought up your visit to the White House this last week, which I thought was pretty remarkable. I was following you a little bit on social media. Can you share with us anything from your experience there?
Yes. So I was invited as a task force member. They're putting together a task force to build a roadmap for suicide prevention in the VA, right, for vets. What can we do? I was the only, when I say a gun guy, right, I was the only firearms industry representative there. I realized that when I was actually in the meeting, and it was a perfect opportunity to show them what Walk Talk America does. That first day, I was like the shiny new object, the shiny new toy, because the mental health professionals had never really thought, hey, let's use the firearms community and the tool, because that's what it is, right? It's a firearm. That could be a gateway for people to get help, because people trust our community. Vets trust our community, right? It's like we're in this bubble. So we could be a good conduit for people to get linked up to resources where they can get help, and without, fear of being branded or consequence. So, it was really good. I was very happy with how it turned out, because they kind of told us that the Walk the Talk America philosophy is check it at the door. That's how they started off the meeting. So I was like, okay, this is cool. We're going to get along great. But I feel like we were faster. We can move faster. We can do things because we're not handcuffed by data collection, and we're not handcuffed by sending it up the ladder and having other people do it. So they were pretty impressed. They were blown away the fact that there's 14 manufacturers that are putting the mental health flyer that leads to the screenings in the box. Like that's something they were like, wow, we never thought of that. And that's what I was there for, right? Is to show them, yeah, you don't think about these things. We do. That's why I was pretty proud.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the work you're doing in your organization. You know, I'm a fan, and man, what a cool rally! I thought it was really amazing to see how this all came together. I thought it was really. It's important to recognize that, again, as I alluded to a moment ago, that this was truly grassroots, not driven by any one particular party, organization, or agenda. And so, yeah, we did see. I mean, I don't know if did you hear the remarks from Dan Gross, former president of the Brady campaign?
Yeah, that was so that was kind of a curveball. Now that there wasn't many people that knew that was going to happen.
Right.
So it was interesting. Unfortunately, when you got off the podium and you went back to where the speakers were, we were doing interviews and things like that. So I didn't get to see everything. I could hear, but I was having conversations. I don't know what happened. What do you?
I thought it was really great. I mean, just to have him there. Number one, the courage I think it probably took for him to come out and say, "Look, I'm the guy that used to run that organization, but I'm here to have a conversation with you guys about the Second Amendment." And he made it clear from the beginning that he supports the Second Amendment. I just appreciated that additional perspective and his remarks, showing that look, there are people from varying backgrounds, from different beliefs, from different platforms, and there's an opportunity, and there are ways for us to come together and figure out how to protect and defend and promote and expand the Second Amendment, and hopefully achieve those things that we all care about, which is safety and security. Things like what you're doing with Walk the Talk America, as far as what happens in this country as it relates to suicides, is a travesty. Nobody, I mean, everyone has probably been affected by suicide at some point in their life. I've had a number of friends or family members that have taken their own lives, sometimes with guns, and it's a sad thing to see. And we all want to see that number go down. So, appreciate so much the work that Walk the Talk America is doing, and with you leading the charge there, and also now with being on this task force. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, I was so happy with how that turned out, and it was an honor to represent the 2A community. I'm actually pushing to have other leaders, almost like some of the people that were at the rally. I would love to have them come to DC with me and meet some of the people that I met, because they are looking for solutions, and I think they have to realize the narrative has to change. If you like what Walk the Talk America is up to, what we are up to, in terms of what we do to promote better mental health and suicide prevention, then you can't make us a villain anymore. You have to change that narrative. Okay, the gun people aren't so bad. The gun people care, and that's so I appreciate all your support. Today was amazing. There was a lot of questions about today, whether it was going to go off, and I remember standing there and looking over to see the crowd of people, and I said, for the first time and on short notice, this was amazing. I was really blown away by that. So
yeah, it really was. I mean, it came together in like a month's time, which is not a lot of time, and you had people traveling from all over the place, including yourself. You're at the airport about to, I presume, fly back home. So.
Yeah, I got to go to a wedding in Ohio, and then I get to go home. But I try. Listen, there's nothing worse than traveling like a rock star, but not having the rock star money, the rock star women, the rock star lifestyle. No, but it was great. And let me tell you something. There was a lot of influencers in the industry that just showed up to support, that could have spoken at today's event. Yep. So that takes a big person to put their ego aside and say, even though I wasn't asked to speak, I'm still showing up to support. Yeah. So I thought it was great.
Absolutely, man. Well, we're going to go ahead and sign off here. We'll let you get back to focusing on getting on your way, and good luck with the wedding and with getting back home eventually. I'm sure you've had a long, busy week.
Yeah, it's been tough, but thank you, man. And thank you for everything you do. And thank you for the support of Walk Talk America. I really appreciate it. So
yeah, awesome, man. Thanks so much, Michael. Good luck. Okay. We'll see you.
Yep. See you.
All righty. Well, this brings us to a conclusion of today's live stream and coverage of this Second Amendment rally, as was held today from 12:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol building. A remarkable experience. I think this was an amazing event to pull off in the amount of time that it all came together in. We heard from some amazing speakers. Those that we weren't able to hear from, we were able to catch up with a couple of them in some of our one-on-one interviews. And appreciate all the many thousands of you now that at some point over the course of the last 3.5 hours, you have tuned in and watched this coverage. Thank you very much. Thank you for the support of concealedcarry.com and the things that we do here. And I look forward to hopefully doing something similar again in the future. But we do have the Concealed Carry podcast every week on these same channels, and maybe you'll tune in there as well. So I am Riley Bowman, host of the Concealed Carry podcast and host of this live coverage here today. I'm going to go ahead and sign on off of here and wish you all the best of luck. I hope that you are all safe in whatever you are doing. I hope that you're carrying your guns and taking your personal defense and your family's security and all of that seriously, and that you're also taking the opportunity to get out there and do some training and in some way make yourself better. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great weekend.